Hello, everybody. Welcome to the official Rise of Kingdoms channel and the Supreme Strife Semifinals. I am Brian Koo, and I am joined today by two of the best known and highest energy content creators in the Rise of Kingdoms space, Apocalypse Gaming and War Daddy Chadsky. How's it going, guys?
Boom, boom, baby. What's up? Pleasure to be here.
Yo,
Super exciting.
Let's go. Let's go. This is
Let's
one of
go.
those days in Rise of Kingdoms, one of those weekends in Rise of Kingdoms where there is a lot going on. We've got a in-person Amsterdam meetup happening right now. In the warm-up call, Chadsky and Oppo were talking about some leaks from that gathering. Apparently, we are getting a couple of characters and heroes from the Iliad for our next commanders. Chadsky, are we getting a couple of guys from the Iliad for cavalry commanders? Is this real
I mean,
life?
yeah, you can't really call it, leaks because hey, this is released to the meetup. They know that that's gonna infiltrate throughout the community. But this Troy, are we kidding? Like we're gonna do the Iliad, Troy, and I don't know that the graphic they use. That looks a little bit like Hector and Achilles to me. That would be insane for the game if they start dipping into some of that Greek mythology and some of those amazing wars that they had. Holy cow.
Yeah, and we need it. As Cav players, we need it. There's just a lot happening
Don't
this
get me
weekend.
started.
Yes.
We got two Cav players on.
Attila, please don't.
Oh, let's go.
But, there is just so much happening. There is a very big A seed Kingsland that kicked off this morning. Chadsky has already fought in that. We've got the Grand Prix on Sunday. And right now we have got a really, really good Supreme Strife semifinal match. Earlier today, we had 4 teams advance, 4 teams get eliminated. We're down to 12, and we are going to cut this thing down to the final 8 teams over the next 4 hours here. And what a matchup it is going to be. The biggest teams in this event are on this map. GV77, 160 GT, and 489. They are all on this map, and they are matched up against each other. GV77 and 489 on one side, GT and 1 on the other side. And the crazy thing, Oppo, is that the community feels like the GT side are the favorites. There is more wagering on the GT side than on the GV77 side, even though GV77 is by far the strongest team by power. Oppo, what do you think about this matchup?
I think you're right. This matchup brings a lot of boom boom today. There is a lot of excitement in that one. But yes, we cannot deny that the community, I don't know, feels like the 60 GT side got the boom boom. And we noticed this through the bidding. We can see BTA, very surprising bid, 148 million. And if you look at the overall bidding, 60 GT team seems to be in the lead. 160 GT, BTA, insane. So I'm really interested to see how this is going to go, especially with the big bids matching 60 GT for BTA. Maybe there is some things we don't know, but I'm really looking forward to see this unfold. On the other hand, I know GV77 is one of the strongest team in this tournament. I'm not sure where is the dads coming from. I think they're going to bring a lot of fire, and they're going to really, really make us very excited today.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, Chadsky. I'll throw it to you in a moment. I think the doubting is just on the time frame here. 18 UTC is a little bit problematic for some of GV77's allies, such as Vita. This is the middle of the night in Korea, and Vita is a Korean team, so there's going to be a question mark about how strong Vita will be here today. But Chadsky, you played earlier today. You advanced in this tournament. We're looking here at a 4v4 matchup where it's not 1v1s at the start. What are you looking for, and what are you excited about as this match opens up?
More than anything, it's how they get started. This is what I've found out about Strife is that it really is. There's obviously a lot of fighting, and that's fun. We like to do that. But this is a very much a territory building, mechanism within this game that the teams that do their territory well, that make sure they've got the marches to build as fast as they can, back flag as fast as they can, get to the structures as fast as they can. It is really kind of cool because we had talked about that when Strife first got announced, that it's kind of a little mini KVK, like it's a mini a mini zone opening, right? Where you're getting out as fast as you're trying to get your territory, you're trying to get the teleports. And there is a point in time, though, if it is a heavily contested situation to where troops come into play, because you just cannot, if you're sitting at 90 or 100 or even 110 million power, the way the game is designed, when you run those marches out into the field, you're going to put them a bunch in a hall of heroes, and you just run out of troops, and there's nothing you can do. So power is a very big play in this, and GV77, their allies, definitely have a little bit of an advantage just because they have so much power. They can run 4 hours nonstop. There are so many of those accounts in GV77. A lot of those accounts in 60 GT can do the same thing. 489's got some big heavy hitters as well, and so it should be a lot of fun. And then the one team is also massive, and so this is going to be awesome. This is going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be one that's going to take a while to figure out who's going to win and who can outlast one another and do better at the territory and do better at the fighting.
Yeah, it's going to be
more. Yeah.
No, go ahead, Apo. Go ahead. Yeah,
I just wanted to touch a small thing. Like, I couldn't agree more with what Chetsky said here. And, on top of this as well, I just want to mention something. When you look at the pink team, it looks like a 9.4 billion power. Like, I agree, power is a big, major part of this. And I couldn't agree with what Chetsky said, because when I played myself, oh boy, it was 100 million. You already struggle. So, but what I wanted to say is the pink team, when I broke it down to have a look at the team, pink team has a lot of very, very strong individuals. Maybe not in power, but the accounts are very strong. And I'm really, really want to see how they're going to take on GV77. Like, I see a lot of experience in this team, and will be a great clash at the start between GV77 and the pink guys.
Yeah, Pink's going to be a very interesting team here. They're one of the pickup teams on this map. We've got about 2.5 minutes before this thing actually kicks off. We're starting to see some teams teleport in, but Pink is going to be really interesting. There's basically, at the start of this match, there's going to be two sides where the enemies actually fight each other, whereas the other two on both sides are going to be safe. They're going to have to flag for quite a while before they are touching enemy territory. And with Pink, what are they going to try to advance in this tournament, or are they going to try and spoil things for GV77, right? Because even if the community is right, even if 60 GT's team wins overall and holds the Spire and all that, GV77, they have so much power. They've got Wild Lion and Mr. Hope, the two biggest players in the game. And
absolutely,
in a 4-hour match, they can they have a very good chance of finding a way to advance by just outlasting these other teams. And so does Pink play to hurt GV77's chances of advancing, or does Pink play to try to get themselves through? That's going to be super, super interesting. We see both Pink and GV77 heavily teleporting in on their side. Let's go ahead and jump into the match and take a look at who's teleporting in, because I will say a couple teams are very late to teleport in. So let's take.
All right, let's do it.
So here we are. I'm looking at 489. Tell me if you guys see them anywhere, because I don't see them yet.
Oh my God, I can't see even one player.
I'm looking at Vita. I don't see them, but you do.
I see them. They're in the and the bottom. Now you see them. They're all down there. All 2489 in the corner.
You can see that, with Pink up here, they are all set up. GV77 is all set up. So
that looks beautiful. They definitely going for each other. Let's go.
Yeah, and here we go. Here's 49. 49's down at the bottom. Okay.
Yes, they're going for 60 GT by the look of it.
And here's some Vita. We've got Vita down here at the bottom, so that's really good. Very good to see that Vita is showing up in numbers. 10 seconds to go. Both teams can... Every team can field 60 players, so hopefully all 60 show up. But here we go, kicking things off right off the bat.
Who's going to drop the first flag? La la la. Here we go.
So if we can get some matchups and immediately get some fightings in the corners, obviously with Vita and 60 GT and then GV77 and Pink, that's going to give us content right off the rip, and that's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, and I can see them already. GV going in, and Pink going in. But also remember, I want to see if BTA gonna get the structure. Lots of bits on BTA to go to the next stage, and I would really interested to see if they get the structure today.
Look at all of the SVIP animations for GV77, and then look at how few of them are on Pink here. The DAV representing with the VIP animation.
You're saying it without saying it.
Slow down, Brian.
But listen, I mean, Pink does have some players. Look at this guy, Duke of Chen, 660 million power on Duke of Chen from 2643. So Pink is no pushover here, but GV77, they're pretty nasty. Yep.
Oh yeah.
And they're not going right in on each other. Both teams balling up right from the start as if
the window, I think.
They're thinking about the trades from minute 1 of this 4-hour-long match. Very interesting.
This looks like a mid-fight balling up in Arc in OL.
Absolutely.
And hey, Brian, about what you just said, I actually would like to also ask Chesky on that one as well. Guys, when I played myself the first round, I found the severely wounded insane. Even though I was playing with 2 marshes to play smart, I ran out of troops pretty much in like 2 hours. It's really you don't see how much troops you lose when you're fighting open field in this mode, especially on structure.
It's kind of a different mechanic, and players are used to playing OL, right? They're used to like going in, running it down, kill your troops as fast as possible to get the timing right to reload. You can't do that in this game mode, especially if you're not sitting over 200, 300 million power, and which is pretty much 98% of the players. And so you got to be smart. It becomes a structured game, and this is what makes this thing interesting. I know the developers are going to take a lot of feedback from this first initial tournament they've done, but this has got a chance to really be something very, very cool. A couple of tweaks here and there that they do, and it can be a lot of fun. Like Arc has become such a mainstay, and OL has become a mainstay in the game.
Amazing. I agree with you.
Yeah, it's certainly very interesting that you say that, Chadsky, as someone who has played this mode, because as a commentator, it has certainly been interesting to spectate a game mode where the trades, in my opinion, matter a little bit more than the trades in even KVK, as we watch this first engagement now between Pink and GV77. In KVK, some people just never run out, and some large cohorts of different kingdoms never run out of speed ups or resources, so the trades are not that big of a deal. But here, for almost every player, it matters. It matters. And even if it doesn't matter for you in particular, it matters for so many of your teammates. Earlier I was watching, I woke up in the middle of the night, and the first thing I did was open up my phone, open up ROK, and see what was happening in the earlier Strife match that Chadsky was playing in. We were 90 minutes into the match. There had been obviously some intense fighting. I looked around, almost everybody had, 80 or 90 million power, and then all of a sudden near the Spire, I see Chadsky's city, and he's sitting there at 228 million power. And,
How dare you? How dare you, Chadsky?
How dare you, sir?
It is definitely an advantage, and that's one of the things I think that they've got to try to figure out the balance of this, because it definitely appears, and I know that's one of the things that the developers want to do, is make sure they introduce new game modes, and this is really a game mode that benefits high power players. That's why, Grand Prix, anybody can go play. It truly is a gamers type of event, because it's balanced. Everything is the same. Everybody has the same power, but in this game mode, it definitely helps to have the power. And then they do have a little bit of liability there, because you either got to go buy a bunch of bundles if you kill over 10 million troops, if you are a high power player, to get those troops back, or you're just kind of limited at that 10 million troop, to where you just don't want to send out any more deads. But there's going to probably be some tweaks, but at the same time, this is kind of what makes it fun and interesting, because even at 60 players, you can't have all 60 over 500 million power, so everybody's got those types of players, right?
That's true. And guys, I'm sorry for jumping in, but if we zoom out and have a look at the map a little bit, 60 GT is not flagging to Vita. That's just really surprising.
Yeah, interesting.
I'm really surprised here. Wow, wow, wow.
It looks like GT is flagging very slowly. Now, do
Yeah.
you guys know where their ball is right now?
I tried to look, but I couldn't even find them fighting Vita. Oh, they are
Here
up.
we go.
They are up
Yep,
at Vita.
here we go. They are at Vita.
Oh my God.
So we've
That's
got
a very decent number.
Yeah, we've got GT here in blue. They are in a 1v2 in this fight in particular against Vita and 489. So already you are seeing that Vita is looking like the weak link on GV77's side. And you know, GT in past weeks in Strife, they have been a bit of a kingmaker where they flag to the Spire very quickly. They've kind of played the same as 1606, Chadsky's team, to be honest, where they flag to the Spire very quickly and they allow their teammates to potentially advance because of their largesse. And they also sort of control what enemies have a lot of trouble advancing by infringing on their territory. And early going, GT might have that opportunity again.
Look at these 2489 players coming down to help Vita out. This is kind of a 2v1. And it's like this is not, I mean, you only have 60 players. So if two camps that are formidable, if two packs, if you will, decide to team up on you, there's not a lot you can do. I mean, you can fend them off as best as possible, but that you're just going to be, it's a numbers game at that point, even if you do really well and you've got the best marches and all that stuff. All these players and all these packs are pretty good. And so from that standpoint, it's going to be really tough if 49 puts a lot of resources as far as troops and marches down here. It's going to be hard for 60 GT to hold on. They're going to need some help from their allies.
That's true. And also, like, just to bring, we mentioned Vita here, and I just would like to remind you from last round, 60 GT was one of the biggest reason why Vita made it to this round. So, you know, it seems like the GT gamble worked for them because they brought them to this round, and boom, they get them on the first fight. So it's very interesting, very interesting. But do you know what's also interesting is 2489 is really focusing on building in the same time. I think we're going to see some epic fights when it comes to the middle structure here. Lots of teams focusing on the middle. Lots.
Oh, look at this ball for BTA coming up around to kind of flank. It looks like they're overlapping over the top of the fights over to 2489. Holy, let's go.
Oh.
Where do you have the courts for BTA's ball right now? Oh, is this it right here? There we go. I found it.
Yep, there you go.
I just also want to mention, it looks like Team 1 is going for the structure, not BTA. 150,000 million bits. Oops.
There's a lot of people out there hoping that BTA is more than just the spoiler team here. They're more than just the enforcer team. There's a lot of players who want BTA to be a structure taking team in this one. But it is still early, and you know, one thing that GT has done well in past weeks is they have really dominated the scoring in the second half, right? When you control the map, when you win the map, you are then able to hold the Spire and give it to whichever team needs it. For those who are newer to Supreme Strife, let's just quickly go over the structure of this event. There are 8 teams of 60 players each. There are 5 structures on the map. These circles give 5 points per second. And then in the middle is a Spire that gives 10 points per second. Double the points per second is actually quite a lot. It really does add up over a 4-hour-long event. And that is, and then at the same time, you can build unlimited flags and you have unlimited teleports. And so those are sort of the key mechanics, along with, as Chadsky has already mentioned, there is no hospital. And so when you take severely woundeds, instead of filling up the hospital, those troops are just dead. They're gone for the rest of this event. You get them back at the end, but they are gone for the event. And Chadsky, can you remind me, there is some sort of players are making some sort of decision about how many like, is there a choice in terms of how many troops you get back?
Yeah, so the game mechanic by itself gives you 5 million troops back, right? So if you're a player, you don't have to buy any bundle or do anything. You can automatically put out 5 million troops if you have that many troops, and that's what you're going to be getting back. They do offer the bundle. The bundle adds another 5 million. So those who participate in the bundle side of things, they get 10 million troops that they can go send to die in this game mechanic, and they get all those troops back. Now, if you start going over that, then you do not get those troops back. Then you have to decide if you want to buy the tickets that allow you to get more troops back. It can be very expensive, and there's definitely a little bit of a pay-to-win aspect to this type of game mode. But overall, you just got to be careful with these troops and watching how this is. So everybody understands. Brian's got this thing set up, and he's doing all the different the leading on the broadcast and showing you. But Apo and I are also watching all over the map. We're keeping an eye on everything, and we'll yell at Brian if we see a fight breaking out, if we see something happening with some actions that he is not focusing on. So everybody understands that we're going to overwatch this whole thing for you
as much as we can. Yes, and guys, if you zoom out and just have a look, there is one thing I cannot look away from is one team. The pink team flagging. They building flags like crazy.
Yeah, GV77 not building a whole lot right now.
No.
And so it's flags kind of rule in this. I mean, you have unlimited flags, and as long as you can get them filled, I mean, you can just place them everywhere, get the teleport spots, get your team out there. And we all know how important teleport spots are when it comes to Kingsland and small tight areas like this.
But it looks also pretty much all of them in the same pace. I don't see anybody excelling in the building the flags faster. Like I checked all of them really 2489 maybe, or one team red leading by seconds. But overall, all of them are around the same pace with the flagging.
Yeah, Vita's not doing from GT as well. In the 3 lines they're going to set up defensively. Cortex and those guys over there are really good at being able to plan this stuff out. Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see kind of how they play. They're kind of back building a little bit to get as much territory as possible, and they're going to start just loading up the flags.
So true. And Chesky, you remember from even Brian, I'm sure you guys saw 60 GT last round. They played also a big role in bringing their allies through, even though Vita was one of the people that I expected not to go through. They made that happen. So, it's never confirmed with 60 GT because of how strong and how dominant they can break through the map. Like we saw also 1606 this morning was very similar. When they go with the Powerball, it's unstoppable. Simple. I love to watch it.
How many teams do we have fighting right here? We've got probably 4 teams here. Yeah, Vita's flag line here getting a lot of action. We've got 489 trying to support them in red. In blue, we've got GT, and then their allies BTA also in red.
Oh baby, look at this.
It's like 4 packs are just, hey, we'll meet here.
Oh my god, it's what? 200? It's like, honestly, it's more than 200, like 200 players? 150 players in a small area?
This looks like, it looks like a Kingsland murder ball fight here.
This is so good, man.
I got you, Brian.
This is what I'm
watching what you've got here. This is great.
Yeah, this is really what I want to be part of.
One of the things about Kingsland, when Kingsland opens, is you want to try and stop the flag building or slow down the flag building of the enemy. That's sort of one of the edges that you can accomplish early on in Kingsland. And I think that's what we're seeing here. We are seeing the GT side try to slow down Vita's flag building. They just feel like Vita is vulnerable, and maybe we can slow down Vita's flag building. We have to say Vita has done a pretty good job of building so far. They may not have 60 people here. They may be struggling on the field, but they are getting most of these flags built pretty quickly. Now, the flags do build much faster in this mode than in a normal KVK. It's almost, I think it's faster than Skillful Craftsman even.
600% faster. Apparently.
Yeah.
So
and so Vita, even right now, you see that the fight has sort of drifted to the north, and that's given Vita space to get into this next flag. So Yeah, how do you guys feel about just this early opening? How, like, which team looks better? How things are going for both sides?
I will
Efron, go
start.
ahead.
Okay, I will start. I will say from the start, I really, really expected to see Vita and 2489 really going hard in building this like a barrier for 1960. But do you know what's really surprising me? That 1960 is not even bothered going there. Yeah, they fight an open field, don't get me wrong. But when you look at the flagging, they're really focusing structure. And I like that. They go into the middle and they're focusing on that. You know what I mean? But on the other corner of the map, 2377 and Pink, they go in head to head from the start, from the beginning, you know, and they put in the flags. I've been watching them very closely, one by one. You know, when you count the flags, you're gonna see the front ones. They're very close in building, but we cannot deny that Pink team is super disciplined and really, like, without a comparison, they are the highest team with the number of flags on the ground. I can't believe how many flags on the ground. I honestly cannot believe how fast they drop on them.
That's
This is
one thing I've
incredible.
noticed about the GV77 versus Pink up here, the GV77 flag. Now, here's the thing. It took them about 10 seconds to drop the next flag, or about 12 seconds. And that's pretty quick. However, I mean, you got to go as fast as possible. I mean, the second a flag is built, boom, the next flag is dropped, especially if it's not going to be touching. But this flag that GV's building that you're showing here, Brian, that's going to be building, and our pact in Pink is going to have a chance to take that thing down because theirs is going to get built first. So we
Oh my
come
God,
back
you're
to
right.
those typical rules.
I'm gonna build first. Oh my God. Oh my God.
And if you look at the territory, Pink has got a lot of territory for teleport
Oh my
spots, where
God.
GV's just got this one line going out. So it's going to be hard to maybe keep that flag. This is going to be great.
Bro, I'm blown away a little bit here if you don't mind, but I'm sorry, like, GV77 built like what, 15, I'm sorry, like 10, 15 flags. One Pink built like 30, nearly 40 flags, and they're still gonna go to the structure first. I'm sorry, but this is incredible. Wow. I told you, man, that one team, I broke it down yesterday, and I've seen some good players, and it's reflecting on the ground as well, on the map. I'm really enjoying this.
You know, I think a few things can be true at the same time. One can be, it can be true that GV77 is slow to build their flags, and that in what we're looking at right now, Pink will get their flag done first. But it is also true that this is an overdog situation with GV77. Just because Pink gets this flag done first doesn't mean they're going to be able to swarm down GV77's flag.
True.
Even right now, GV77 is controlling the territory a little bit. I think the other thing that can be true is that having build teams really matters a lot. And what we are probably seeing with Pink and with even Vita is that they assigned a lot of people to be on the build team, and GV77 did less of that. I mean, and here's Chisel, by the way. Chisel getting in on the action for GV77's side. I wonder if he was on the build team here, or if he's complaining, you know, he's saying on voice, hey, we should have had more people on the build team. But Chadsky, how much did you focus on builds? And I mean, how many players do you think should get allocated to this without giving away too much?
You gotta make sure you not only have, because you can run with the support skills, you could run 500K marches. And
That is so much. Come on.
we literally had 4 players and a backup for every single flag, and we would do 3 different flag lines. So you literally had, you know, the same 4 players either ran marches themselves, or we just had all these different people running build. You're seeing it. Pink is laying down the flags faster. Like the minute that flag got built, it was within a second the next flag got placed. And so, but what's happening here is maybe it's a little bit of a bait for 77. Hey, we're building a flag, and it just so happens they're going to touch on a building flag before we do. And if they touch, they're going to go hard at it. And maybe that's GV77 baiting them to come in, because the more this goes on right here that we're seeing, the more ball fighting we're seeing, the more advantage there is for GV77, because they can just outlast. And so there is a little bit of 4D chess that can kind of be played a little bit to use a flag to bait and get them to commit to you, and then go pounce on them and use your advantage of having more power and more players with more troops.
Exactly. And I want to also add to that, if you zoom out a little bit, Brian, you're actually going to notice that GV77 going to have to be 2v1 very soon. The one team built to the corner from the right side going towards GV77, but MTR is really behind in flags in comparison. And the one team is already at the structure. So GV77 going to be 2v1, or maybe MTR going to be helping, but it's going to be a tough one. I don't think it's going to be as easy, as simple as people think it's going to be for today for 77.
And you're right. Look at Pink. They're already there at the Spire.
Yeah, man.
This is wild.
They're going to build over them, bro. It's so close. It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
They back flag. They have all the territory they need to get all their players in there. Well done. And this is where, we're going to find, just because we know this, Apo and Brian, we get to these situations in OL where it is down to the second, the timings, you do your runs and all that. The more that Strife goes on, and as they continue to progress this game mode, it's going to be really, the strategies that are going to come out are going to be pretty incredible, because everybody's still learning how to do it right now, right?
Hell yeah, so Chad.
It's going to be really, really interesting to see how this works. Sometimes it's like, don't even field fight, just build as fast as you can go and back flag as fast as you can go, and then decide to go spend your troops so you could use that tactic. So good GG.
Exactly right. Hey, look at those Sarah's League in there.
Yeah, you're
That's
right.
how it starts, isn't it? We win with Sarah's League. You see simple strategies, and then when it comes to playing the season 5, season 6, season 8, you start seeing some things you're like, wow. I think it's gonna be the same here. It's just the first season, and then we see much better strategies from here. I totally agree with you.
So potentially some 4D chess being played by multiple parties in this match. We had GT helping Vita advance last week, and then making Vita their enemy this week. But is GV77 playing a bit of 4D chess with Pink, baiting them into some very aggressive fighting here, trying to, take advantage of some slowness in the GV77 build? Or is GV77 walking too much of a tightrope? Rave from DS, a team that advanced earlier today, saying that if 77 makes a mistake, the rest of the map will capitalize it and make them lose here and now. So far, their flag line is their mistake. So GV77, I think they're going to be one of the main stories of this whole day. Even if one team is going to win overall, can GV77, as the strongest team, find a way to advance? And
I just want to, sorry, Brian, boom, just in the second here. One team, just the first team to get the structure. We just have to anchor this.
Yeah.
The first team to get the structure. Sorry, Brian.
Nope, very good point. One is sitting pretty down here with this first circle, uncontested, and they built very quickly. So again, you see what GV77 is up against here. They are up against a 60 GT team that is unbothered, moisturized, and in their lane heading towards the Spire. And you've got this one team very comfortably building towards the Spire as well. And here's GV77, the strongest team on this map. They are almost blocked to get to their own circle, although they do have a flag up now. They have a flag up, 1 minute, 40 seconds to go. Their flag is going to get up before this Pink flag gets up.
Pink second occupy. I'm really impressed. Okay, that's really amazing.
Okay, so if Pink has the structure and it's touching the building flag, they can go ahead and hit it, right? I assume that I think that's what happened with ours when we went head to head on ours. That's technically their territory. So this flag is susceptible, and I think Pink, and now they're getting help from One to get up here and get this flag down. Now One can clear the field, but they can't touch the flag. So you got to have some Pink marches over here to swarm. Yeah, it is. They're touching it right, or they're attacking it right now. You see the Gorgo in there, and they're swarming it hard.
Ooh, Dinte started off the swarm with some very low health marches. You can see that this is a heavy priority for Pink. They've got their allies One over here clearing the field, and they are going to try and swarm down this GV77 flag. There it goes.
Wow.
Oh
That's
my
big
God.
time.
Oh my God. Oh my god. GV77 lost the flag. Oh my god.
I mean, it's a 2v1 for them, except for when their allies MTR gets
bro,
over
they
here.
coming.
Yeah.
Look at the building, bro. They did it well, man. 2v1 too early. MTR need to come to the help here. This is the thing, it's not KVK.
GV77 needs to just start building flags to go parallel north with all that flag line they have. Get more teleport spaces in there. You just got to drop flags. Just drop them.
Yeah.
And get people to get in them. Get your teleport space. They're packed in here so tight, and they just you got to have free reign and free movement, and for your big players to move around, and they just don't have that much territory here.
Brian, if you go to 277-296, 277-296, and change to 1, just to look at the 1 team, it's just that the GV77 flag, that building. Brother, the comparison between the 1 team and MTR is, oh my god.
Did they just already wipe this ball?
296.
Yeah, look at
here,
this.
Exactly.
They're already walking away. They've already said we've done enough against MTR. Let's go back and protect. This is very 2 flags being built, 4 minutes on the GV77 flag and 3 minutes on the pink flag. Pink can already touch the GV70 flag that's being built.
77
so,
under pressure.
Yeah.
They're under pressure. I'm sweating from them. I'm not even kidding, man. I'm sweating for them from here.
Chadsky, do you think GV77 has overextended here, trying to kill the pink flag when their own flag is in deep, deep trouble?
The losing flags isn't necessarily a bad thing, and so because you have unlimited, you can run out as many as you want. Now you're going to get the marches killed that are in the flag, and that's not good. But at the same time, 77 is definitely on the territory for the opening. They're in trouble because they're already losing points, right? But at the same time, they know they can last, and they know they can just full send it nonstop, and they can afford a couple of they have a bigger margin for error just because they have so many troops, and they'll just keep going and keep going. And so it's a 4-hour match. It's not one in the first 30 minutes, and so that's one thing we're gonna have to think about. One is gonna have to come reinforce and really overcome. Now one has got a ton of power as well. So if they're just sitting fresh right now, and then they're just doing this fighting over here to support, when they finally get up there to where they have their cities closer and they can get out there, then they can start to counteract some of that power discrepancy that 77's got.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for Pink to deal with GV77 in a 1v1 scenario. But so far what has happened is a couple things. Pink has maybe avoided the fight a little bit by allocating a lot of people to building flags, and then they've managed to get one up here to be very, very useful in what's happening. Although, worth noting that the flag that I thought might be under threat here, this small GV77 flag, looks to be doing okay, looks like it's probably going to get built. And let's see how they're doing as far as territory. Look at this. They're, Chadsky said, let's get some more teleport space for these guys. And look at this. They're just building these very shallow flags, trying to almost be safe. They almost want to be safe over here. But if you send like 4 or 5 more players to build a flag, like right back here, for example, you allow some players to teleport just a little bit closer. One thing I'll mention is that a lot of these teams we're watching here, GV77, 489, even a lot of the players on 1 who are from 1093, they are all playing in the Grand Prix tomorrow. They all have very big Grand Prix matches tomorrow. And so there's a lot on these War Leads plate, and GV77 probably should have got their build team up and running before the match started. At this point, it's a little bit difficult to get 4 people on voice to volunteer to all of a sudden switch roles and build some flags.
Yeah, and Brian, I just want to jump into the occupation. If we zoom in and look at the occupation and just compare it to so far to the bits that have been in place, I've seen already in the chat lots of people saying, "Hello, why is BTA didn't get the first occupation?" There is lots of questions because based on what we're looking at, the men at Pink is occupying 2489 occupying Vita, and 60 GT and 1. There is a lot of question about the BTA team. I can see even in the chat multiple times people asking why they're not occupying. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, 150 million coins has been bid on BTA to go to the final, which is really hard to believe right now. But
Yeah.
we're gonna wait and see.
Some good news for the people, including myself, who put some coins on BTA, is that multiple teams can take first occupation. So BTA is touching that circle, and at any point, Pink or One can empty it of troops and let BTA get the 1,000 points for that first occupation. But really, 1,000 points is not a lot. It's not about the first occupation score in this game mode. It's really about the continuous occupation, getting those points by the second. And every team, you can see, even the chat is already worried about how many points people are getting. They're feeling like this is going to be close.
And we can see already based on the packed kills, 2377 is having a huge war. They're sitting at 4.4 billion kills. This is amazing. This is 2377 is going all out here.
Oh, look at this. I never
they
even
cannot
noticed
build the
this.
flag. Yeah.
Okay. We've got the packed kills that we can track on the scoreboard as well.
Yeah.
Yep. GV77 in first. Let's see how everybody's doing. Vita, look at this. This is the story, really, is that Vita and MTR, the allies of 489 and GV77, they are at the bottom in terms of packed kills right now.
Damn.
And that just makes
they're
things...
They're focusing territory. That's what you can tell. They're not balling up a whole bunch. They're letting 489 kind of be the meat shield, if you will, while they just hammer the territory. And we already knew that some of their I mean, look how much territory they have. They just got a ton of it, and some of their fighting capabilities, which with their power, they don't quite have the punch that their allies in 489 have, and then obviously going up against 60 GT. And so that's an interesting play down there.
Tetsuki, I'm really looking at here, and I'm really looking at the map, looking at 2377. I know still early, but there is 420 million bits on them. This is really, really concerning.
Where's that? Why aren't they building? I don't understand this. I don't know what they're doing here.
I mean, they are just
can't even
blocked.
burn the flag,
They are
Chad.
so heavy
They
blocked
can't burn
right
it.
now.
The numbers are crazy, Chad. Look at it, bro.
I think One has impressed here. You know, they have
Holy moly, bro.
Pink did this right. They built like crazy. They had enough of a field presence to just not get completely overrun. And then their allies, here they come. One comes to help them out that bring much more of a hard-hitting punch and makes things very, very difficult for GV77.
No, they need allies, bro. I'm really looking here. I'm trying to switch the colors.
MTR's got to get there.
Oh.
MTR's got to get there fast and help.
They need it.
MTR's not
my
too far
God,
away
bro.
on their flag line. I mean, you know, MTR is doing okay as far as being able to get to this fight quickly. In the chat, Bleach for Fun saying GV against everyone, ha ha ha. Essence is saying 77 and 89 are having a hard time. That's one of the things I'm sort of looking at now, is that 489 has an issue down here in the lower left corner. At the same time, GV77 has trouble in the upper right corner. These guys are allies on this map. They are enemies in an upcoming very big KVK.
Yeah.
And
Enemies are friends, friends are enemies, all the storylines.
and it's like, you know, if either of these teams sacrifices themselves in this match to help the other, then they just have no chance of advancing, I think, is the way it's looking. But if neither team sacrifices, are they both screwed? You know, does it get to a point where one of these teams who are enemies says, "Hey, we got to go and help this other side"? It's a very interesting situation and a very tough situation for this losing side to figure out what to do.
Yeah,
Although looks like they got a.
And I think new dynamics in this particular game mode with the allies side of things. You know, in 606 and a couple of the matches we had before, we just made it a corners fight, right? We didn't even have allies. You just fight for the corner spire that you've got, and or the circle, and you get whatever points out of that structure, and you're going to advance. And so this allied situation is really, really interesting. And to note, 60 GT is sitting at 10 billion power on this thing, right? And so this isn't, and we all know that obviously they're going through a transition with a kingdom and everything, and kind of contracting a little bit. This isn't 60 GT from a year or two ago, where they would have been 15, 17 billion power when they come into this and they've got all the troops. So it's a little bit different style for them as well. So they're just not just going to go overrun everybody like 77 might have the capabilities to do in the end.
Yeah, man, I'm looking zoomed out on the map and I'm gonna cry, bro. It looks like the problem is we're not looking at 2377 didn't even make it to the middle. 60 GT gonna have a free roaming to the middle. This is going to be not in any favor of 2377. And if they don't get that structure as soon as possible, I'm not even kidding, that looks very, very concerning right now.
Chadsky,
GT getting it alone, brother.
Yeah. One thing that we talk about, all the interesting intricacies of the diplomacy here. Chadsky mentioned that 60 GT has lost a number of their leadership. They are a smaller kingdom than they used to be. They are certainly not the de facto consensus strongest kingdom in the game. That title is certainly up for grabs at this point, but certainly GV77 with Mr. Hope, Wild Lion, Shark having returned, BT Cyborg, and actually I guess BT Cyborg's in 1093, but Chisgul and many other big players, they're certainly in the running for the strongest kingdom. And Chadsky, let me know what you think, but with the way diplomacy goes at the high end of this game, you really don't want to be on the bad side of the strongest kingdom, because so often it is the strongest kingdom that does get to dictate diplomacy in these big KVKs.
Yeah, not just in KVKs, but obviously here in the Strife event as well. But you still got to go do the work, and you still got to build the flags right and everything. But in big KVKs, you're right. 60 GT still has amazing players there. I know a bunch of them, and great gamers, and big time punch for the numbers that they have is relative to KVK, as they've contracted a little bit, and they've got good leadership that's going through that and going through that kind of transition. So that's gone really, really well. But when you look at this overall, you got to try to figure out, who's going to be the next king of the mountain, if you will. And that's where there is definitely going to be a struggle. You got big kingdoms that are up there because 60 GT has dominated for so long. But now that they have disseminated and a lot of the players have gone to different, there's players in 489 from 60 GT. There's players in 77 from 60 GT. There's players in 606 we have from 60 GT. So players have gone a lot of different ways. So there hasn't been a mass migration to go make another super Imperium. It's really kind of even the playing field. And honestly, I think for the game and for the high-end Imperium KVKs we're going to see over the next 18 months, it's much different. It's much more equal, and it's going to be interesting to see how kingdoms position themselves to try to maybe take that claim as the best kingdom in Rise of Kingdoms. Because you guys remember, Apple, you remember back in the day when I was in 254 and 556 and 846 and all these different there were tons of them, and we were all in these massive KVKs, and there was no just best kingdom. 365 had a time when they were just unbelievable. 846, they were the immortals, they were unbelievable. 254, we were suicide, we would just do anything crazy. And so from that standpoint, it's just interesting to see that you kind of have that equal playing field now. That's going to make it a lot of fun. I think it's going to be great over the next handful of months when it comes to these upcoming KVKs, in the near future.
I agree, man. I agree.
And there's so many intricacies as far as the diplomacy goes. You on some level, you want to be well liked by all of the other contenders for the crown, but at the same time, if you're a group like one in this event in particular, and you've got a few players in your officer pool from 1093, and they just absolutely stick it to GV77 today, can you even attribute that to 1093? Like, is it even 1090? Is it 1093 doing it, or is it this random group called One that is doing this? who do you even get revenge on if that's what's happening?
It's funny in Apo. You can speak on this as well. That back in the day when we had these big Imperiums and 3 and 4 and 5 Alliance Kingdoms, there was a lot of hate, because it was extremely competitive and kingdoms did not get along very well. Well, the game has matured now to where you're cross-kingdom playing Grand Prix together. You're cross-kingdom playing now Strife together. So many of these players that have stuck around for years have been in different kingdoms. They know it's almost like everybody knows everybody now, and it's, dare I say, it's much more vanilla when it comes to the aggression and hate. Everybody really kind of gets along. And so from that standpoint, there's a lot of respect that people have, even though they fight. There's a lot of respect that 1093 has with 77 and 60 GT and 489 and all these kingdoms. And so it's a different environment that I think is more positive. I think that they all know each other. Yeah, there's a little bit of animosity here and there, but nowhere near the grudge matches we had in 254 against 556. Oh my gosh, it was so crazy.
No, I love how you brought this up, Chet. I really think that's a very, very good point. You're bringing this up. Definitely the community has matured a lot. I cannot agree more with you, Chet. And I think it's a great point you're bringing up here. Definitely we're seeing mixed Grand Prix mixed teams. We're seeing here, BT Cyborg still playing in Team 2377. There is a lot of maturity, and I really love that you brought this up, Chetsky, and I really agree on it. There is a big difference from where we were a couple of years ago to where we are today. It is a lot more better for the community.
You said it perfectly. The community is maturing a little bit, if you will. And
exactly.
And that is, I think that's the key with this, because guys, the community, it was so, I'm not gonna say toxic, but it was just, there was so much animosity. Lost Kingdom chats and all that stuff. But watching these teams now, they play with one another, they play against each other, all that stuff. I've got friends over in 77. I fought with them when I was in 2293. We fought 365, and now I'm fighting against them because we're allied with 489 in this big KVK. But like Mars is over there, and some of these players that I've known for a long time are over there, and there's mutual respect. I fought with these guys before, and so I really think that's the key in what you said, is that the community overall has matured. And so it's definitely a much more positive situation, and we just get to watch a lot of fun. This is great.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And I'm trying to scan on the map here to see what's going on, guys. I just want to say 47 minutes in, and 2377 continue to struggle to get that structure back. And I'm really spectating as we're talking. They just burned 2377 flag that you're looking at, Brian. They just burnt it, fully swarmed it. You know what I mean? There is a lot of pressure here.
Yeah,
this could change everything about the Supreme Strife, brother.
Do you guys think they can touch the circle right now? With this flag, are they able to touch the circle? It looks like it.
It does, yeah, it does.
Yeah, because this territory here is Pink's territory from the circle. So they are able to touch this circle, and now we're seeing them filling out the corners here of the teleport space that they need for this spot right here, which seems like it's probably going to be an absolutely imperative spot for
here
GV to control for this match, because otherwise they have to get this circle. GV does not advance if they cannot get this circle. They see the lay of the land here now, where you've got one, and here's Makote, part of this one team, migrated to a new kingdom 3303, but part of one, and then you've got Ghost Rider from 1093 right next to him. You can see the unified forces here of one.
So true.
Playing.
So true, man.
That is a hardcore 846 guy in Makote. With his group, they were an 846 for a long time. They held it together even through a transition. And then you got Ghost Rider, and those two have fought at times, and now they're buddies.
So true.
They're going to be friends.
So true.
Yep, and they're fighting against Cyborg. They're fighting against Cyborg, who's also in 1093. There's definitely some blurred lines here, and you just hope that GV77 can make this very, very competitive here.
I agree. And remember, I will go back to the beginning of the stream when I mentioned to you, when I went and looked down and broke down the one team, I was really impressed by who they are. And even if you go right a little bit, you're going to find around the flag, there is insane garrison, the one and only Renana from 2650. You know what I mean? There is some big, decent player. Power plays a big part in this game, and we cannot disagree. But there is a lot of small things they can do that can contribute, and we can see some of it right now in front of us. The biggest team in the tournament, 15 billion plus power, struggled to get the structure, and we're going into 1 hour. This is worth watching. This is worth watching. I mean it. I'm loving it.
Yeah, it's a great point about one and what they're working with here as far as their officer core. You see that they're listing 1093, 1875, and 2748 as many of their officers. You know, they've also got some people from 2650, like you mentioned, who are just very solid players who will play their role. Who's who of names here? Mad Achilles, Abu Hind, Black Mamba, PPK. So many strong players setting markers and calling shots for one here. And they have just played such an impactful role in denying GV77 this circle as we get to the 50-minute mark of the match. People in the chat mentioning what's happening on the other side with GV, with 60 GT and 489. Let's get a bit of an update there. Take a look at what's happening, because this is also, you know, it almost looks similarly if we kind of zoom out and see, like, how does this look for now? Vita and 49 are over here, but it is GT that holds this circle for now. 49 is scoring though, so we have to make note of the fact that 49 does hold a circle. They hold an uncontested circle right now, and so, you know, in a way, what 49 has done is they have chosen to fight down here to help Vita rather than fight with GV77.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that decision?
Brian. Yeah, it's very interesting. And actually going to affect the points as well. I'm actually looking at the points here on the side as well.
There's probably going to be a situation, and we all know to be true, that this isn't, regardless of what the diplomacy and the allies.
Exactly. Hell yeah,
you're going to have maybe 3 and 1, or 2 and 2. You're going to have two packs from one side that advance and 2 from the other side that advance, or 3 and 1. And so I think that's a smart play with 489, because they need to go help their allies. They need to go help Vita, and they're going to hit 60 GT head on here. But the more they're just gaining points, it's almost like no matter what happens, they can advance, right? And that's the name of the game, is to advance.
And well, I just on that as we talk in here, one team is going for the middle structure before anybody else. This is incredible. This one team.
Yep.
This is incredible. That changes everything. Based on the points we're looking at here, brother, this gonna get... Actually, this could be one of the nail-biter games more than any, because this is not the team we expected to advance, and they are leading right now.
I think what we're seeing is we're seeing 489 play their own situation as well as they possibly can. And what they're really trying to do is they're trying to stop just free holding of the Spire for the whole game by teams like BTA. Because it's really BTA and Pink that are going to kill 49's chances, right? Because if they just hold the Spire for too long, they're going to pass 49. But what 49 is doing, they're building to the center to block GT from getting to their circle. And they're attacking the teams. They're attacking the teams that could threaten them later, right? They could, you know, GT could threaten them later. BTA could potentially hold the Spire and threaten them later. And so they're attacking what they need to do for their own chances. But it is also leaving GV77 out on an island here, all by themselves. I was just going to tell you.
They're pretty much in the corner. They can't even come to the fight. They've been fully blocked. Fully blocked. Yeah, this is difficult. This is really difficult. And it shows you again, 60 GT allies were definitely stronger here. And they've proven it. But yeah, 489 did the right thing. I think you're right. They did the best they could. protect themselves, get the points, but like you said, it could all change if 60 GT team get the middle structure for themselves. If they're not getting challenged, unfortunately, we could see everybody get eliminated but the 60 GT team. This is actually that can change everything. Yep, they all come into the middle now. Everybody started to come to the middle.
Yeah, let's try to capture them grabbing this spire. Let me know how close they are to...
Yeah, we're still about 3 minutes. You're fine.
3 minutes,
You're fine.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Yeah, one of the dynamics people need to keep in mind as this match goes on is that, in one sense, the GT team, as we watch Pink here swarming down this Eleanor, the GT team is going to be advantaged as the match goes on because they're going to be generating so many points from the spire and from all the circles they hold.
Yep.
On the other hand, GV77 is going to have an advantage as this match goes on because at least some of their players will have troops left when everybody else runs out. Now the question is, go ahead, Shadsky. Nope, I was going to throw it to you anyway.
No, I was going to say, I think what this means for everybody watching is that if we had a chance to make this a long strife to where it's still in doubt 3 hours in, this is what had to happen to make that happen. Is for GV77 is going to have to come back in this, and if they're built to do it, you know, they've got the power and they got some of the players that they can really go hammer and do it, but at the same time, you know, if we're going to get a good strife that's going to last a long time, this has to be the scenario that it lasts, because 77 is going to have to eventually outlast. Listen, Pink can't keep this up forever. They just can't. And so it's going to be really interesting to see kind of how this thing works out, because troops are fading fast. I mean, we know Chisco, he's 60 million power. He's down to like 120 now, 110. So he can't even go that long, much longer.
Yeah. Another thing I just want to mention as well, I was just noticing here, I'm really confused why Wild Lion is not in the front line.
Like, I don't think he's in the match. I don't think he's in the match.
I can see him here. No, I found him. I've been looking for a long. Yeah, I found him. But he's sitting in the back line, brother. He's sitting in 284-307. It really confuses me. Like, how a player like this,
maybe where he's holding back, and then after, I don't know, maybe after the pink pack,
but 2.7 billion.
He shows up, just fights everybody by himself.
Maybe he's just gonna move to the front as we're talking. I saw someone teleport out.
Here's a question for you, Chadsky. Because listen, Mr. Hope and Wild Lion have a ton of power. We see Mr. Hope here right at the front line. He can potentially just, and here's his marches here. Let's watch how they behave. But what Mr. Hope can potentially do is just throw his marches into the enemy over and over again, do a ton of damage, but also take a lot of deads. If he were to play that way for the full 4 hours, where he just goes ham into the enemy over and over again, do you have any sort of estimate for how many dead troops he would, how many permanent dead troops he might suffer doing that kind of a strategy?
He can drop 100 million power without having to spend any tickets. So then from there, if he drops another 100 million power, that's a lot of tickets you got to buy, and it's a lot of bundles you got to buy to get all those troops back. And if he's willing to go drop 300 or 400 million power, he can either go buy all the troops back. I can't remember if there's a limit on the tickets you can get to get some of those troops back that you're not going to get. But if he wants to, he's got the ability to drop 1 billion power if he wants to. And typically we know him, and we know the way that those two fight. They just run it in there. And typically in a KVK, they've got the speed ups, they got the spending to be able to handle just about anything. And so this is a little different. There is a little bit of balance with this, because you either got to decide to spend an insane amount of money, or you're going to have to take dead troops in the end. And do you want to take dead troops and not in a KVK format? I doubt anybody really does, and you don't get those troops back. But a couple of questions that we had in here on the chat. This is not a KVK. This is not a GV77 versus a kingdom with 300 players. This is Strife. So this is 60 on 60. It does not matter. You can't go overwhelm this with 1093 and 2 or 3 alliances they're fighting with. That's not how this works. And so it's going to be interesting to see kind of how this plays out.
I just would like also touch about what we see here. Mr. Hope, I can confirm he's already 100 million power down. Plus, he already down.
Okay.
And it's the first hour. So based on what we're watching here, he is expected to lose around 400 to 300 to 400 million power. It's insane. 100 million down in the first 1 hour. Which is crazy.
And what Chad is saying is that with a sort of a large amount of spending, but not a crazy amount of spending, he could potentially get 200 million of that back via the in-game mechanics. But if he stays at that same pace, he would lose 200 million power permanently.
No, this is not how it works. So the tickets is unlimited. You can buy the tickets
if he buys that many tickets. I mean,
Yeah,
do we
if
think
he
he's
does. Yeah,
do we
that's
think he wants
exactly
to buy
right.
the tickets, or do we think he wants to like lose some actual power? Because really, they can lose some power, right? Like they sort of have more power than they need, and in my opinion,
I don't know, bro. At their level, I mean, you're almost unlimited.
you just buy the tickets. I mean, you think it's better to buy the tickets than retrain the
it's
troops?
buy the
probably-
tickets.
Yeah, it's probably cheaper to buy the tickets to get those troops back than it would be to go invest in speed ups and train and resources and all that. So that's probably kind of a calculated decision that they would probably look at. And so that's what you have with those two players. I mean, listen, when they first started coming up, they came to 254. I was in the kingdom with them, and these guys just came out of nowhere. And it was like, what is going on here? And their accounts were young, so they were hammering all kinds of stuff. They were basically getting the gold head bundles. They were just getting everything, and as much as they could. And so if we've ever had players, and we've had a few, you talk about Maverick back in the day, Baba, when he was really humming along pretty good, Yoda, you talk about some of these billion power players. Oh man, they're when you talk about that kind of stuff and that level of investing, we'll say, there is no limit with those guys.
That's so true, man. That's true. It's true. By the way, Brian, one did occupy the middle structure, and let me tell you, that's gonna change everything. I'm not even kidding. And I just would like also to confirm that the also pink team repaired fully, and there is a rally on the structure on the pink. First on the bottom, where GV, there is a rally on the structure.
Yep. GV77 bringing in a rally, unaccompanied rally though, so really has no chance of working here. You can put 3 million troops into this circle, and
if you can put 3 million troops in there, that means you can rally with 3 million troops. And I'm seeing a couple of sad faces here of people trying to swarm this rally down.
Yeah,
I know all about that, and so that's one of the things I love.
Not very nice.
I mean, you go put that arch on Attila, and you go spam those rallies and say, "Come get it!" If you guys want to drop power.
I don't know. I think that was probably a good trade for Pink there. In my opinion.
Well, good trade on the tactics, I think, definitely.
That's the stuff, man. They can burn the flags, guys. Do you need to burn the flag?
Yep, got to burn the flags.
Yeah, GV77 is able to heal their own flags right now. And yeah, it looks like most of the pink flags have been extinguished or never burnt in the first place. I thought I saw a couple of flags that were burning.
Action is here, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys agree? All the action is really in the GV77 being blocked is really big. It's going to change a lot of things. The outcome going to really change here.
Now, something also to consider that's different from KVK in this territory fighting. You don't have farms, and you don't have 150 players, reinforcing rallies and structures. So you're taking the best fighters you got and the most capable accounts you have. And so I'm not a stupid, or I might be a stupid man, but I will just tell you that a lot of those players are not used to spam filling a garrison sometimes.
Absolutely.
A lot of those players aren't used to doing the territory fights and doing the finite rally stuff to get flags burning and stuff like that. They want to go fight, and that's all they want to do. And
it's so true.
It can be potent in this because you can clear field and you can get stuff swarmed down, but there does have to be an element of territory rally garrison play in Strife that you have to have, and you don't have the farms to do it. So how do you do it? Well, you got to do it with the mains. Well, you got to make sure those mains know how to do that because some of them aren't used to it.
So true. And I think it was part of the reason why lots of big teams got eliminated. Because lots of people want to go in there and just play open field. Flag is what? I don't like building flags. I just fight. It's the attitude. We know how it works.
Absolutely. And, I've felt like what it comes down to in terms of what you guys are talking about in terms of, getting these players to prioritize different things in this Supreme Strife event, it comes down to leadership. It comes down to having a war lead, preparing some people ahead of time to have those roles, and then really getting on people during the fight that, if your city happens to be right next to a flag, you need to be ready for when that flag's getting attacked, put all your marches in the city and fill the freaking flag. You know what I mean? And, we don't see that leadership. We don't hear it, but we kind of see it happening in how it manifests on the field. GV77 has not done a good job of flagging, but they have done a pretty good job of holding some of their flags. They've had some defenses here that have been successful. I think they even had an Eleanor that managed to hold a flag here. So, interesting to see what GV77 is doing. What I think is interesting is that as far as their officers here, they've only got 4 officers. They've got Mini as the R5. So Shark not holding R4 at the moment. I think I saw Shark on the map, but, the traditional leader of GV77 not being reflected in the current officer ranks for this team today.
You're trying to set up your war leads for KVK. Obviously, you're in Grand Prix, and like you said, you're spread so thin when you take those high achieving war lead type of people, and they got to go war lead a Strife and still learning how to play Strife. And so it makes it really, really tough. What's interesting here is that you've got BT Cyborg on the 2377 side, and you've got Ghost Rider on the one side. Now, those two are going to be swarming crazy for 1093. They're on the same team in KVK, but now they get into a situation where they got to go fight each other in this Strife. It makes it interesting when you do these cross-kingdom type of events and type of mechanics that they put in the game.
They might even be on the same Grand Prix team tomorrow, which, by the way, they're playing against 2377 tomorrow. I mean, right. It's like these guys are definitely crossing streams here. But it has set up a pretty interesting fight here that we've got with GV77. It just feels to me like their biggest issue is that they're just not getting help from their allies. We even saw MTR. At this point, look at what MTR is doing. MTR is just
to the middle.
Yeah, they're going to the middle. They've got like they saw this shiny object and they just made a beeline for it here, fighting at the middle, and that doesn't help GV77 at all. It really doesn't.
And also what I noticed, Brian, I noticed that one team overlapped Pink. Okay, I'm just looking in the bigger picture. All right, I know 77 is not gonna go anywhere. They're gonna keep trying. But now with one overlapping Pink is stuck on that structure. Yeah?
Yep.
Even though Pink has been one of the teams that performed very well at the start of this, unfortunately, they could be one of the teams that are going to be also at the end in a very awkward place because they are kind of stuck. You know where I'm coming from? Every other team has access to the middle, but the Pink team. And they one of the teams that put their foot forward, and challenge 77. So it's going to be very interesting to see where this is going to go. Really interesting.
I think what can happen later is that one can destroy some territory and give Pink access to the middle, if that's what they want to do. But, we talked about it before the match. What role is Pink going to play today? Is Pink going to play to advance, or is Pink going to play? Is Pink just going to try to ruin GV77's day? And so far, it looks a little bit more like Pink's job is to ruin GV77's day and just fight at this circle. Long way to go, though.
I mean, they can choose to do that, just run it down against 77 and try to essentially grief them. But they're winning the event while they're doing that because they're just holding the structure and gaining points. And so from that standpoint, they're if they hold that structure long enough, there's nothing anybody can do. They're going to advance. And so they're playing it right, man. They are really doing well. I'm very impressed with Pink, and then I'm very impressed with Pink and One's coordination. Now, we talked about One and a bunch of 1093 players helping out over there. If they've got some of that leadership, we know this. 1093's leadership, their territory, their how they structure, how they strategize, how they do everything is really, really good. It's been second to none for so long in the game. And so with that being said, you can kind of see that with how well they're coordinated with Pink, how one has really helped them out, helped push off the flags, allowed Pink to destroy building flags. It's really cool to kind of see how those two have played together. I mean, you see it right here. One is in the fight with Pink nonstop, and so
it's true. So true, Chad. So true. And you know, Chesky, one thing that came up a lot, and actually I'm really glad because you can answer this straight as well. Lots of people were saying, brother, better teams are the one from the same kingdom. We actually witnessing today teams that come from so many different kingdoms and performing amazingly. So it's not all about just having a team, all 60 players from the same kingdom.
And that's, it's one of those things, Apple, where if you got them all from the same kingdom, you can get really strategic and technical with some of your planning and some of your territories and some of the build teams and different things like that, just because you're used to it, right? So you can you've got more capacity when it comes to doing different things with the strategy. If you're kind of mix mashing this and it's people from other kingdoms and stuff, you got to keep the plan really simple. Really simple, because you're bringing players in that aren't used to playing with each other, that aren't used to, I'm not on a build team in my kingdom, like, wait, I got to be on a build team. And so that's just one thing you got to, when you do the cross kingdom stuff, you got to keep the plan super simple, and you got to make sure you have good leadership that can take on a lot of that territory stuff, and then you let the players you've recruited from other kingdoms, let them go do what they do and let them go punish the field. And so it's a real cool dynamic. Yeah.
There's a con and pro to everything, but I gotta agree with you here, Chesky. The teams you gotta like a team from the same kingdom does it makes it easier for planning. People know each other. I do agree on that point. Very good point you bring up.
Yeah, I was certainly one of the people who thought that a one alliance pact would have better coordination. Hasn't really played out so far today. We do see Wild Lion now teleporting to the front line. Some people in the chat saying that Mr. Hope was doing a bit of venting on his live stream. It's certainly the case that things have not gone as well as GV77 would have hoped. And this is where kingdoms get tested, right? This is where you really find out what you have in a kingdom, is when things are going bad. That's when you find out what you really are. Who steps up, who stays calm, who stays productive. And this is not KVK. This is a different environment. You can say the stakes are lower here for GV77, but the struggle is always real. Whatever game mode it's in, if you're struggling, it feels very real to all the people on voice. And I'm really curious to see how GV77 responds here. And, we talked about the 1093 leadership on the one side, right? And one of the things that makes 1093 so strong over the years is that they play all the angles. They see all the angles. They see angles that other teams simply don't see. And that's why I was asking about how much power these giant Krakens can lose. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you talked about it. Look at those cities up at the front line there, just down to the left. You look at Chisco, you look at Peppa. Peppa's down to $157 million. Dollars down to $136 million. Sharks at $100 million. You've got some cities here. They're starting to lose power, and once they get below that 90 million threshold, they're going to have a hard time fielding 5 marches. And so even these players that were sitting at 160, 170 million power, they've got limits in this game mode. Of course, BT Cyborg doesn't. Yeah,
Cyborg's in good shape. Cyborg's in good shape.
But some of these others that are used to being 130 million power, I mean, even there, that's our samurai guy. That's what we call him. He's a great player. He's down to 130 million power on this. So troops, I mean, there is a limit to even when you have unlimited troops in this game mode. Yeah, your big boys can carry you that are over 500 million power, but at the same time, collectively, if you go spend all your troops and you get below 90 million power, there's not much else you can do.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, right? I'm just wondering, my dream scenario here is that the 1093 leadership in one pressures GV77 so hard here that Mr. Hope and Wild Lions sacrifice more than they want to. Just to make this a good performance for their kingdom, Are they going to have to sacrifice more than they want to? I mean, I look at Min Tam here as well. Min Tam at 472 million power. This is a long-time GV77 member who has been on the front lines of some very important fights and really also dedicated a lot of stuff. BT Cyborg as well, you know, he was part of this mix. Do these players just go the extra step in this match if that's what GV77 needs?
That Apo, that's a great point Brian's making, is that when you see that this is kind of a losing proposition right now, it could turn. Do those players, as cracking as some of them are, do those players decide, okay, I'm gonna go, you know, run this thing down, and I'm gonna go spend 200 million power or 300 million power, and make that decision to go maybe buy the tickets or just lose the power to fight an uphill battle here? That's you got to give credit to Pink and One, because they're putting pressure on them to make those decisions, right?
Yep.
You know, guys, I want to jump here for a second and just bring some stats in. You know, luckily I took screenshots at the start. I'm just going to give you some shocking numbers. GV77 is 2.5 billion power down. This is not normal. I'm sorry. Pink is hardly lost power. I need some explanation. I'm sorry. Pink was not any more than 9.7 at the start. GV started with 15.5 billion or more. They are sitting at 13.5 billion. Guys, I think there is some...
Yeah,
this is not normal, bro.
Yeah, but if you think about it, they're fighting Pink and One. So you gotta kind of put those two together. And you know, BTA.
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, that's good.
You know, BTA is they're not showing up to help like One is for Pink, right? I mean, and that's GV77 is kind of doing this on their own right now, and so I said BTA, I meant MTR. MTR is 77.
Oh, okay.
That's what I meant. MTR's got to get over and help, and because 77's taking on 2 packs right now, and that's not easy to do, because as strong as you are, you know, you put 2 packs together, they're just as strong. As far as power goes, because it's limited. They have literally twice as many troops, or twice as many accounts. Maybe not twice as many troops, but definitely twice as many accounts.
You know, GV77 is not doing bad. We have to say that they are not doing too bad in a 2v1. The packed kills that you look at on the left-hand side here are very, very helpful for assessing the trades here. GV77 is at 11.2 billion kills. Their 2 opponents combined are at about 13.1 right now. So they are losing, you know, they are losing this trade, but they're not that far behind in terms of kill points in a 1 versus 2. Obviously, MTR helped them a bit earlier. Yeah, what I would say is that it's just not going quite good enough for GV77 to like feel, you know, good about what's happening.
It's not going.
They're close. They're close.
Sorry, Brian.
No, go ahead.
If you zoom out, you will see. I will reiterate on what you're saying. If you zoom out, it doesn't even look good at all now for any of GV77 team, because we can see BTA officially occupy the middle structure, which means 60GT is going to be in control of allocating the points, which means we could also see 2489 with occupying from the start, not making it based on what we're seeing right now. This is going to be very challenging. 60GT team is in control of the middle.
Yeah, you can definitely tell, because you see how One is building.
Exactly.
One is building to down to the center structure, right? And so One hasn't had any structure so far. So I think
they've had the circle. They've had the circle.
Well, yeah, they do have the circle. I'm sorry, but this is a concerted effort with what they're doing with BTA. This is a concerted effort to try to get all 4 to progress. And
it's amazing, Chad.
Yes, and 489, as good as they've been and trying to kind of hold this over here on the west side of the map, they've got to figure this out, because if BTA hold that structure the whole time, then as it stands right now, all four packs on the 60GT side and the One and Pink and BTA side, all 4 would advance as it stands right now.
Yeah,
guys, this is gonna be a party.
Somebody's
I'm
gonna have
not
to do some
kidding.
math because it's like, how long do we let BT have the middle structure, and then we got to hand it over to one because one's got to take the middle structure. Okay, now can we get both of them to take it, get the points to outlast 489, who's holding the circle, obviously in the northwest corner? So.
Well, one thing is that Pink is already tied with 489. Pink, because they have held this circle for so long, they are already keeping pace with 489. And it doesn't even feel like it doesn't even feel like Pink is going to lose this circle. Like maybe later on they might lose the circle. But
yeah,
I mean,
Lord brought it up. I keep referencing that one need to take the middle structure. They've already got the circle. So they're holding 3 circles. Like this alliance pact is holding 3 circles now, and BTA is the only one that's just got to go, take the middle structure, and then they can disseminate that out with time, however they want to do it at the end. So this is really, I did not expect this. Apo, Brian, I did not expect there to be a situation where it's a 4v4, one side versus another, and all 4 from one side, advance to the next round. It's really, really interesting. So that just shows you how many points and power that the middle structure has, right?
I can't believe it, Chet. I can't believe it, man. I'm really blown away. Like, I've been looking at this for the last 4 days. We talked about it in the stream. We've been covering it, and I'm being honest, I am blown away with the control from the 60GT side. And I'm going to say it, Pink really is the dark horse here. What a surprise. Pink and One coming together really impressed me. But I'm going to say something as well. I have streamed endless hour of 2377, and I know they can come back. Do I believe in them? 100% I believe they can take it to the final. They're just going to have to stay calm, believe in their team, and continue. We're not even halfway there. Don't let this mindset get in there. Focus. I believe they can do it. Still too early. Let's go.
Really
so
interesting.
How it sets up now, and you got to give 60GT some credit because they did the same thing last week. Murph is bringing in a great point here, and some of the people in the chat, great points with you guys. 60GT did the same thing, last Strife with Vita, right? And they were able to kind of control and help that. You got to give them some credit. Cortex has taken over there, and they've done really, really. You got a bunch of gamers over there, people that know what they're doing. And so they know strategy. They know how this thing has played out. Of course, you've got Legion and Piltong and Rolex and Al Haytham. You got all these guys, Josh and all these guys that have been part of 60GT for a long time, and they know how to do this stuff. And so they're kind of the rainmaker in this thing. Of course, Pink is just hammering, right? They're the ones that are just going crazy. Meanwhile, GT is setting up the territory and kind of dictating who gets the points and how. So credit to them as well.
I love what you shared light on here, Chetsky, as well. Highlighting, there was a bit of a, couple of months, 60GT. We don't know what's going to look like in the future. But let me also take this opportunity to also confirm what you just said. What an amazing performance and show up from 60GT with Cortex and the new leadership. I'm really, really as well very proud of what I'm seeing here. 60GT continue to be one of the best, if not the best. Absolutely amazing.
I mean, this is what they needed, right? When you go through a big leadership change in a kingdom, there's just so much doubt in people's minds. There's so much doubt about whether you can continue to perform at a high level. And new people have to come in and prove that they're capable of doing that. And this is just, this is such a good spot for GT where, this has not been a super challenging situation. It's like they got to play good for about 2.5 hours, 1 day a week, and they can really school some of the strongest teams in the game, in this new event, and it's just a really good confidence boost.
Yeah, you're bringing up a great point, Brian, and that's one of the things you have to think about when you talk about OL or you talk about this Strife. The fact that you're contracting as a kingdom, it does not affect your abilities in OL and Strife, right? Because you only have so many players, and you don't have to have, it's not KVK. And now whether or not 60GT, we all know just by sheer numbers, they're not going to be able to punch like they did in a KVK. They're not going to be the kingmakers of KVK like they were for so many years. But in game modes like this, Yeah, I mean, it's not going to affect them, and it's really, really good to kind of show, really their own members who I'm not going to say are lacking confidence, but it gives confidence to their own members. It gives confidence to people who might want to go to a kingdom that's only going to run 60 or 70 members, and they're going to do these game modes, and they're going to fight lower seeded KVKs, or just not fight at the super high level anymore. So it is really, really GT to be able to do all this.
Well done, Chad. And I just want to say something on this as well. On this stream, I've heard many times people saying, I'm actually starting to think I want to play Strife more than KVK. There is some people already thinking about it. You know what I mean? So it's a very good point. Can we get an update on the points for the team, please? Everybody's asking about the points. I just want to show everybody because people need to see GV77 still at 0, guys, as we talking.
Yep. And look at how quickly BTA.
Minutes.
Look at BTA with holding the Spire. How quickly BTA is catching up to the circle holders. It's
the G
so
team in
quick.
control, bro. Damn GT! I'm done with you guys. I need my money back, bro. GT is too good, man. They're really controlling the middle. So big.
Yeah. For a moment here, let's talk about 489 here. Right, because they are probably the team on the losing side that has the best chance of advancing. Although I think they're in deep trouble right now. But
I agree.
They have also had a very big migration recently, and they are in a big KVK. Chatsky is allied with them. They're up against 2377. Chatsky, you did a interview with some of the 49 leadership, is that right? And you talked about their recent migration. Can you talk about like the current status of this kingdom?
Yeah, we went through this stuff, and Mao and Eva and obviously Arvix. 49 has done something over the last really 24 months since the era of Pho, who used to run it, and some of these other people who used to do things in 49. And Apo, bro, they cleaned up so much. I want to say their 300th player, as far as their power was like 8 million power. Like they cleaned up everything.
Wow.
They condensed all the way down to like 60 members, right? Or maybe even less. And then watching them kind of systematically rebuild, and they became more international when they rebuilt. And it's really interesting to see they had a massive migration. They're only still at 120 members right now, so they are very lean, and they're in a very good spot. Plus, they got some of these accounts with so many kill points. I mean, 3.7 trillion kill points with a kingdom that's got 120 members. I mean, that is wild to think. And so they've really done a really, really good job. You know, they're going to fight that Zone 5 against 77 in the KVK of the King of All Britain that we're all in, and they probably can't outlast 77. I think that's fair to say. Both camps only have one campmate, and 77 is just they're pretty much a full alliance that has had plenty of downtime. They've had plenty of skips, and they're ready to go. So it's going to be interesting because 489 can make some noise. They can make a lot of noise when it comes to what they can do in a Zone 5, and it's just really cool to see how they've restructured that, because we've seen kingdoms go by the wayside when they have to go through a transition. And watching kingdoms like 1093 a couple of different times, even 846 lasted for so long, even after all the kingdoms started condensing. And then you see other kingdoms that just weren't able to last, 556 and 254, and some of these other kingdoms that couldn't go through a leadership change. It's really interesting to see what's happened with 49, and a credit to them.
I couldn't agree more. 2489, I've been a big fan. I played for them myself. I got to enjoy 3 KVKs there, and I agree with you. I have been watching very closely the rebuild, and whatever happens, and that's what I love about 2489, regardless of what happens, the core team sticks together and rebuild. We noticed recently RVX made the decision to bring all his accounts to 2489, makes that very, very, very strong as well. Recent migration, all the family members added in, like Chatsky mentioned, they had a very successful migration, which put them in a very, very strong position in Rise of Kingdom. As we talk right now, they are considered, or they in the ranking, the 8th overall. Based on the 300 top 300 in the kingdom, they are sitting at 24 billion power and 3.7 billion kill points. This is big numbers here. So definitely not a team that you can underestimate.
Yes.
Yeah, 3.7, brother.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Top 300. It's big numbers. Big numbers. Yeah, 2489. But if we're gonna look at the Strive, I think they're in trouble for only one reason. 60 GT and allies in control of the middle structure, and they can manipulate the points enough, you know what I mean?
Yes.
To push 2489 out.
Now, if we micro this down a little bit to actually look at some of the combinations people are running, of course, you have the support skills, right?
Yes,
I have
sir.
seen a bunch of Chin CY Garrisons in these Strife. We saw it in 606.
Ooh.
They were running Chin CY Garrison. I'm like, Chin CY Garrisons. But if you think about it, with some of the support skills you can put on that, I mean, it can be really, you can turn a Chin commander with how this game mode is set up, just so people understand, it's a lot like an Orleans KVK. You can put 3 support skills on any commander you want. You can literally turn Chin into a Garrison commander because you can pull support skills from Artemisia, or you can pull support skills from a Minotauri or Dido. I mean, you can make him an Archer Garrison commander, and all of a sudden that combination with CY, we've seen a bunch of, we just saw it over there on that other flag. It was holding and it was kicking out so much damage. So that's it. That's another point we got to bring up in this, is that you actually get down into the mechanics of the marches. The support skills make it really, really interesting.
And I think this is one of the things you love, Chesky. I see you, brother. I saw you. I see you. I saw your breakdown as well. You love your auxiliary skill.
You get Billick and Daver in here. We start cooking on some of these
I know.
ideas. The nerd starts showing.
I love it. But no, that's exactly, this new events bring us also exposure to new things we can't, try in normal KVKs or things like that. It exposes you to another kind of styles, and you can think outside the box, exactly like you mentioned. Chinchi Huang becoming a Garrison, what the fun. That's exactly what I want to see.
One of the things that the QSH CY Garrison does, along with being very good anti-swarm, is it gives people a way to use some of their archer troops,
Archers,
right?
absolutely.
What we're seeing with everyone being limited to only 5 marches in this game mode is we're seeing a lot of 2 cavalry, 2 infantry, 1 archer setups. And so you've got those extra archer troops. They're dying slower in the field. And so you throw them in that very interesting QSH CY Garrison, and yeah, it's got damage mitigation, sustain, and yeah.
Chen is the tankiest commander in the game. He's got the skill, obviously, where he mitigates smite, skill damage, and combo damage by 40%, and he eats rage while he does it. And so from that standpoint, it doesn't get any more tanky, especially in a flag that's being swarmed. So you go put a healer with him like CY, and then you go put support skills on it that are actually Garrison support skills with some counterattack or different things like that. And that could be like the de facto, like everybody run a Chin CY Garrison in Strife. That's something that everybody's got to look at, who's going to be moving on to the finals, because that might be something we see more and more of.
Looks like we're looking at a Ragnar Garrison here. I don't think we want that one. Yeah. And Duke of Chen. Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm just looking at the map here, Brian and Chad, and I'm also looking at the scoring. And I'm really scratching my head how Pink team, because based on what we're looking here, it looks like 2489 gonna be pushed out. But in the same time, 2489 has a little bit of a small lead over Pink, which put Pink under them. If they push 2489, are we gonna see one removing a lot of territory for them to get to the middle? I really don't know. This is actually quite interesting because the pressure from GV.
Yeah,
they would have to. Okay.
If they hold GV here and they continue to keep holding him to where GV just basically taps out, they would have to. I mean, it would be a crying shame to see Pink not get to the center and not be able to grab some points from the middle structure, because they put the work in this Strife, and I think that they would handle that well, because one wouldn't have a problem with that, and obviously 60 GT wouldn't have a problem with that, because they are the MVP so far of this
Fair enough.
This Strife.
Yep. Yeah, but just give me ask you a question on Braun as well. Like, guys, I'm being just realistic. I'm looking at the power average. Majority of 2377 are at the 90 power. Chisgo, Blade, Vortex, majority of the people dropping.
They're about done. You know how that is.
So how are they gonna?
You can't. You're gonna have to put BT Cyborg, Ming, and Hope and Lion. You're gonna
That's
have
very
to put,
challenging, Chad.
You're gonna have to put them at the front and say, "All right, guys, your turn. Go."
Oh my god, Chad. I'm sweating, bro. I'm not even kidding. Like I'm spectating and I'm sweating. I'm not even kidding. This is like seriously. I'm scratching my head here. Majority is 80, 90.
You can see it on the field. You can see that the GV77 field line has been pushed back. They're now fighting in GV77 territory, 1v2.
Wow.
Their opponents gaining some confidence, and this flag that was originally defended by a Ragnar Scipio that held on, the flag then gets abandoned, and the flag gets burnt. So a bit of a miscommunication there by GV77 as they were getting pushed back, although it looks like they may be turning this fight at the moment. But as you guys noted, a lot of these players are very low. And you think about a player like Chisgel, who started at 160, 170 million power.
He's 93 and a half.
Yeah. I mean, did they go a little too hard trying to get this circle in the first couple hours?
Bro.
I don't know. You know, it was really the flag building. It really was, because if GV77 gets this circle first, I think this area potentially plays out a lot differently. But they just had to be so aggressive because they knew they had to get this circle early on.
That's so true. And just for people that watching to make you understand why we're talking about GV77, just to make sense, guys, they are the favorite in this game mode. They have 420 million bits on them, and they have been the favorites throughout the rounds. If they don't make it, this is going to be the biggest upset we've ever seen in the Strife Supreme tournament. This is really challenging.
And listen, upsets happen. I mean, they happen.
Yes.
We saw Staffer and those guys from, 59, or I can't remember where they were from.
53-79?
No,
79.
Yep.
They beat GT in the OL.
Yes,
30-79. Yep.
Crazy sneaky tactics Hail Mary. They got the obelisk, and so we've seen big upsets before. And so I am so impressed that they coordinated so well. Pink did with one, and one has come to help them so much that they basically made it a 2v1. And if you're good at territory, like Pink has been since the beginning, like right off the rip, we all said, oh my gosh, they're building flags very fast, very quick. The minute a flag is done, the second a flag is done, they're dropping two more. And so they did the territory stuff they needed to do. They're not going to last in the field. Well, then they got one to come help them. And so that coordination between those two has been just amazing. Absolutely amazing.
And it's a couple of pickup teams. You know, at the end of the day, we're talking about a couple of pickup teams here, with Pink being led by a Grey Worm. The YouTuber Grey Worm is the R5 here in Pink. And, you know, and then one is got sort of a conglomeration of super kingdoms
that
leading
is my
things.
boy Grey Worm. Look at this guy. This guy, he has the worst luck in getting crits on his crafts. I mean, it was just, he did a bunch on my stream one time. This guy, he's great. He's a good dude. He does YouTube as well, and he is doing really. I had no idea he was leading this Pink team, and they are just doing incredible. And it's so funny to watch. You know, all these different types of players, different kingdoms, and that's what makes the cross kingdom events like this so much fun.
It's really interesting. You know, Chadsky, you mentioned how upsets do happen in this game, and in my opinion, the reason that upsets happen is because one of the really strong points of Rise of Kingdoms is that you have to go out there and actually fight the fight. Like, your reputation coming into something, it really doesn't mean a whole lot. You always have to go out there and actually accomplish something against an opponent who's trying to do the opposite. And, you know, these guys did the blocking and tackling today of getting their flags up quickly and having a very planned coordination right from the jump. They obviously had a game plan to hold this circle against GV77. It's a relatively ambitious plan, but they pulled it off. And it just doesn't, at a certain point, the power and reputation of GV77, it's secondary to who is doing better on the field. And, we're starting to see some players maybe teleport out. Here goes Euro here thinking about teleporting out. But some of these players like Dejin at 92 million power, Umbratius at 84 million power.
I
think they have to teleport away and give that spot to somebody else, you know?
Well, you said it, and I love the football reference, by the way. Fortune favors the bold, right? So if you actually go out there with a bold plan and go try to execute it, you got to do it. And in American football, that's what I grew up doing and did it at a pretty high level. We always said, hey, you can go beat somebody on paper. That's fine. The game's not played on paper. And we always used to say, you can't just roll the ball out there and win. You actually got to go do the blocking and tackling. You got to go do all the things you've got to do. And I think it's a credit to the community and the game, because everybody is getting so good that the margins are smaller and smaller. And you can't just have, 4 or 5 Kingdoms or 4 or 5 Strife teams or 4 or 5 OL teams that just dominate everything. No matter what happens, they're going to win. And they're just unbeatable. That chasm that there used to be is gone, to where, teams that maybe are not in that upper echelon, they're still so good that if enough mistakes are if there's enough mistakes made at the top level, they can be beat. And that's what makes the game fun. It makes it so much fun because it's unpredictable. And so this is really interesting. I don't think I don't think you ever would have predicted this. I wouldn't have either. And
No.
I got to go check my bets to make sure I just didn't throw that on 77 to make sure.
I just want to say something here as well. Something you gotta see as well. You remember, Brian, I want to take you to the beginning of the stream before we go live. You remember when I told you about the power situation? You remember the conversation we had? I told you if you remove the majority of the Krakens out of the teams, you're gonna find that the teams are exactly at the same power. You remember the conversation we had? I told you earlier?
Absolutely. That was a great point.
And you can see it against 77. Everybody made their bets against their power, 15.5 or 0.7 billion power. Who can beat them? But when you actually go down and break down the teams and remove the Krakens out of the teams, even every single team on the map, you will realize that they are exactly within the range of the same power. And this is why everybody's scratching their head watching 77 saying, how they not winning? Because like Chetsky also mentioned, this is not KVK. These teams are 60 and 60. 2 vs 1 is 120 vs 60. You know what I mean? But it just proves the point that blind bidding just based on power is so right. It's on paper, which Chetsky just mentioned. On paper seems right. But when it comes down to the crunch, you got to show up and really crunch. So good point here. Can we get updated on the ranking, Brian, please?
Yeah, let's just go through the packed kills first.
Let's do it.
Looking at this over on the left-hand side, we've got GV77 in first place with 13.7 billion. We have to say that GV77 was in a tough spot today, and you'll see that as we go through these. 60 GT, very strong in second place, a solid second place. Even though it's been tough for GT to find fights all the time, they are in second in packed kills. 1 is in third, 489 in fourth, and then Pink keeping it pretty close with 1. They've both been fighting GV77, and they're keeping it pretty close. Pink in 7th, BTA from the south part of the map in 6th, and then this is why I say it's been a tough day for GV77. Their allies MTR at 4.7 billion power, and then Vita, the Korean kingdom. This is a very bad match time for Korea. It's the middle of the night. Vita at only 2.2 billion packed kills, less than 20% of what GV77 has done here.
This is hard, man.
When you show up the pack points and the pack kills, I mean basically the TLDR for all this is, could 489 and 77 carry their packed allies? And that was a question I know that was brought up on your stream, Apo, and
Yes.
And that's one of those things that you got to look at and say, okay, they just needed more help. They needed to get more help. They still need more help. And so from that standpoint, you look collectively at the allies with 60 GT and with 1 and with Pink. I mean, they are all pulling their weight, all of them. And so even BTA is now fighting over at the middle structure really, really well. And so from that standpoint, it's even if you've got the stronger packs on your side, everybody's got to show up. Like, they got to help you. And so, because it is very balanced in that sense, to where you only have 60 players. We can't say this enough. And so you got to have help from your packed allies. So,
Guys, I'm just looking on the map here. On 2377, I'm not trying to, but I can see literally Mr. Hope in the starting zone.
Ooh.
I am not kidding. I literally just saw him now teleport. I was watching a teleport, and it was Mr. Hope to the first zone with 2.6 billion. Oh.
Well, he's in
This is
first
very
place
challenging.
in kills right now. Maybe Chisgall will find a second win here and be able to pass him for first place in kills.
Chiz is out of power now.
Chiz is 90 million. Chiz goes out. Pippa is out. No, Pippa's still here.
Peppa's still got a
Okay.
little bit of power left. But
Wow.
where's Wild Lion in this? Is Wild Lion?
They just,
Scroll down.
bro, they left. It's the truth. I'm not kidding. I'm looking now. I can see in the back zone they are out.
Wow.
That's a big statement here. Wow.
Yeah, people were saying
Wow.
that they were not too happy on their stream with how things went.
Oh,
I mean, it's a momentum game. You know, you guys were just talking about how the allies for GT's team are all doing stuff as we watch BTA get just a very clean burn on this MTR flag here, and how all the allies on the winning side are contributing. And it's like it's momentum. Like when the vibes are good, when you feel like you have a chance to advance to the next round, everybody just stays online and is productive. And we've go ahead.
No, I was going to say, let's think about this for a second. 489 they're doing everything that they can. They're fighting 60 GT almost exclusively down there without much of Vita's help. They've built to the center. They're doing everything they can. This is what you have to think about if you're in 77. If you have the power and means and capabilities to continue fighting, and you choose not to, you're basically griefing 489. Because if everybody from 77 leaves, then the entire alliance packs of the other side can go right to 489 and halt 489 from trying to get to the middle. And this is what people have to understand, is that you made an alliance pact, if you will, no pun intended, with your allies. And if you just quit and leave, you leave those allies by themselves to where they're because they've got a chance. They literally have a chance. If they can hold somehow, some way, if they can get to a point to where they take advantage, if flags are being deleted, if they could take advantage of some territory and try to get blocked, try to block pink or try to block pink from getting to the middle area, then they still have a chance to win this thing, and pink gets left out in the cold. But if you're an ally of 489 and you just leave, you're basically telling 489 we're not going to help you, even though you've done a ton of work and you've got the structure and you got a chance to move on. So that's something to think about as well.
Well,
It's a really tough situation.
It's a tough situation because
very tough.
I just
Very,
want to
very
say, I feel like MTR abandoned GV77 first. MTR just came to the middle here, and I guess they helped. I mean, maybe you can say that they were helping 489. I guess I can buy that. But, GV77 was left alone, like, very early on in this event.
Yeah, and 77's kind of stuck here. But if they keep pushing, it just draws out attention over here.
Absolutely.
But it's hard for them too, because if you're a player in 77 and you've exhausted everything and now you're dipping into the wallet to try to get your troops back because you've lost over 100 million power, what are you fighting for? Are you fighting for 489 to have a chance to move on?
Yeah. Who is your enemy? Who is your enemy in KVK?
Who's also your enemy? You're going to go fight them in Zone 5, right?
Check, I think you just hit the nail. You hit the, they say they hit the nail on its head. I think you just summed it up. Some people are looking at this and saying, I'm going to have to spend $100 to bring back every single million troops I lose over. Is it worth it? I feel like you're right. Looking at this, I can't even see hardly anybody from 2377, like only like handful of players fighting.
Obviously they've done the kill points and they've dropped a lot of power, and so you can't say they haven't tried at all.
They've tried everything.
They're trying everything, but I think it would be understandable if finances are not on the line, if killing your troops isn't on the line. There might be a different sentiment coming from 489 from that. But with everything that is on the line in this particular game mode, like 49 really can't fault them. Like, hey, we can't ask you to go literally kill your own troops and not get them back over the limit, or hey, you need to go, put the finances down and invest to get those troops back just so we have a chance to win. 49 really can't be mad about that. And so it really is tough. I mean, it would be super valiant if they decided to do that, but it would be really tough.
So true. And Chetsky, I just would like, if we zoom out quickly,
No,
Brian,
absolutely.
what Chetsky sees is happening live in front of our eyes. One has deleted the flags to let pink team in, which means 2489 are in a serious awkward place right now.
Yeah,
this is going to be very crazy.
They're deleting the flags underneath, right? And so that's going to allow kind of a free passage to where one has the territory that kind of protects them and shields them, even if it gets cut, that territory's still there. You got to go burn those flags, and so it's a really good. I mean, let's be real. Between how we've seen the coordination with Pink and One, would we expect anything else less? Because
I agree with you, man.
These two have done a really good job. And it's just masterclass here with the territory and the strategy to let them build underneath, and then they're doing everything they should to be able to block off the zig area, we'll call it. What is the structure even called? It's
spire.
Called,
the spire.
The spire. That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. And so the Supreme Spire. So it's really, really interesting to see how they've done that. Just incredible coordination from the start, right from the jump, with One and Pink, and then now seeing the coordination to get Pink because they deserve it, man. They are the MVPs of this thing.
Yeah, man. And Chad, I'm gonna tell you straight here, because I'm gonna see it. I'm seeing it in the chat. I'm seeing it popping on Discord. People saying it looks like GT and their allies coming for 1606 and their allies.
but then we're gonna get a map, and it's gonna be all messed up, and so that's what's crazy about Strife. You could be allies and both advance, just like Vita and GT did, and then they get the map, and GT's like, nope, we're fighting.
Exactly. That's going to be awesome, but it looks like, GT's going to pull, but based on what we're witnessing, unless something miracle happen, GT's going to pull their alliance through, and it looks like it's going to be like, wow.
The whole alliance, I mean, that is pretty incredible. And what had to transpire was the northeast circle and the southwest circle. So the top right circle and the bottom left circle both needed to be taken by one alliance group for all four to have a chance. And then you had to go take the middle. And so that's what they've done. That is straight up what they've done. Nobody saw them taking the northeast circle, the top right circle from 77, but they have, and that's what really, in my opinion, has won it for all four sides to advance. I mean, that's what made it feasible. Yeah,
absolutely. And you talked about One and Pink finding this cheeky flag hop here. And this is when the voice chats get really fun, is when you're hopping over to your allies' voice chat just for a minute or two. You're that liaison between the two voice chats, and you're giving like really productive info to their voice chat. They get on the same page with you. You hop back to yours, and then you see it play out. I mean, I think we're seeing two different Discords basically working closely together here. Maybe they're all together on one voice chat. I suppose that's possible. But, just really fun coordination between a bunch of people who probably didn't expect to be coordinating really closely, picking up a big win against GV77. I mean, did Grey Worm expect to be on voice with PPK and Abu Hind to figure this out?
I mean, no, look at this. You got Abu Hind over there. You've got Matt Achilles. Well, think about this too. Now, this is very, very important. And I guarantee you, when it comes to this kind of coordination, even if they're not on the same server, they have access to one another's servers. They can jump into voice if they need to. But I will say this, and this is the part of Strife that people have to understand. You can pick up players as they move along. If a pack does not advance,
that's it.
There are a handful of players over here in 77, and there's a handful over in 489 that have friends. I mean, why wouldn't BT Cyborg go over and fight with One, with Ghost Rider and his buddies over there that are from 1093? I mean, that is something that you have to think about as well when it comes to this game mode, because what happens, and so everybody understands in chat, when you move on, and if your pack that you're in gets beaten, you are eligible to join another pack, and that's moving on. So there's going to be some crazy recruitment going on here.
Hell yeah. And Chad, for the last final, every team get to recruit 10 players, not 5,
players.
because so it's a lot. 80 players will be recruited in the last final. It's a lot.
Chadsky, you're gonna have to get on the phone after this match. I know you got a KBK to fight on your other account, but you're gonna have to be representing 1606. Yeah. I mean, these are the
Oh god!
You talk about 5-star recruits. These are 5-star recruits right here. I mean,
no doubt.
This is
no doubt.
top of the top.
Wild Line and Mr. Hope will be very interesting to see if they're going to continue this.
Yes, yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, because I mean, and they might be disenfranchised a little bit and just say, hey, if we're 2377, they've been there for a long time. That's their kingdom. Hey, if we couldn't advance, we're not going to play for anybody else.
Maybe.
Or they might say, hey, we got an opportunity to go play. They have good relationships maybe with some of these other people in packs. But
exactly.
but it will. But I guarantee you this, Apo, there will be some. I don't know who they are, but there will be some that maybe. And that's I think that goes back to what we talked about earlier when it comes to the maturity of the community, and that everybody knows everybody. And as you just see all those cities teleported out, holy cow, that just looked like a complete rapture of
Did you see that?
of cities that just left. And so it's very, very interesting to see kind of how this thing will work out. But trust me, is no matter how long you've fought in a kingdom, you know people from other kingdoms, leaders from other kingdoms, because they try to recruit you, especially high-end players. And you got to know them. Maybe you fought in other game modes with them. Maybe you've been on their Discord. And so there is a whole lot of everybody knowing everybody else that happens. And so it's going to be funny to see how some of these players end up on other packs.
And I'm just looking at the power here, 77, I think. We have to be realistic. Most of the players are officially touching the 100 million here. This is going to be a very difficult, steep hill here. We can be witnessing actually and they're getting cut off. They just dropped flag on, oh my god, guys. Flag being dropped on the beginning of the flag line. They're trying to cut them off. Oh my god.
Pink is feeling themselves a bit here for sure.
Oh my god, Pink are over the place, bro. Pink are having the best time. I think for them, this is the final, bro.
Feeling themselves here. Oh, that's great. They are definitely, now they're playing with house money.
Yeah.
And so it's a situation. God, huge credit to them. I am so happy for Grey Worm. He is genuinely a super nice guy. And this guy had hoarded so much on his account. He was like, Chatsky, you want me to kind of dopamine this thing and do a stream where I open a bunch of stuff and I max commanders and I craft a bunch of gear, and we did it. The poor guy didn't get one crit on early crafting. and he was like 0 for something stupid, like 50 or something. And so just to see that guy get a little bit of get a little bit of taste of victory in this and really be highlighted, all kudos to him, because that's really kind of a cool story for him.
Yeah, and these Miller accounts are also accounts that have been around for a very long time. Yeah, very, very old, sort of North American focused accounts that have been in some of the sort of bigger A kingdoms on the North American side for many, many years. So kind of an old school group here for Pink. And then I'm not too familiar with these of Chen players, but they certainly have a lot of power. And it looks like they're both from 2643. Yep.
Apple, listen to this. This is funny. So Zav is saying in here that Grey Worm, he's pretty sure Grey Worm is at the meetup in Amsterdam.
Somebody mentioned that. Somebody mentioned that. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know that some of these players who are playing in this are at the meetup. Like, hold on, guys, I got to go play this thing, and they're on their phone or whatever. And
that would also be.
I want a photo of Grey Worm being put on people's shoulders and celebrated.
Brother, but that actually could be also why maybe 77 players not here. Maybe they have a big number of them in the gathering. I don't know.
Maybe they do.
I'm actually going to be honest. I feel like it's a bugger to be on the same day as the gathering. I'm being honest.
It is. I mean, and that's one thing we had to deal with in 606, because we had about 4 or 5 of our leaders who are in Amsterdam, and they're like, hey, we can't lead the Strife So here's the plan. And then of course we had other leaders that stepped in to help out and make sure everything was done correctly. But that was just something to take into consideration, that you have these, I guess you're kind of a victim of your own creation if you're Lilith, because you put together these great events like this, and then you go have a meetup and you're like, well,
damn right. We
forgot that we got an event going on while we're trying to tell players, tell people what's going on and do a meet and greet.
I mean, it's a bit like football, right? Where there's always another game. For these teams that have either won or lost today, there's always another game. 2377 has a grand pre-match tomorrow, and then they've got a Zone 5 fight coming up very soon. So, you take the L here. At this point, you just have to minimize the damage that you're taking as a group, and you can move on to the next one. But yeah, Rise of Kingdoms has so many events, and they're all getting squished together here this weekend. But that does give people an opportunity to bounce back very quickly.
That's one of the things I always encourage players. You need to be on the losing side in this game, because I've seen players come through the ranks and they get hooked up with a really powerful kingdom in the early game. They don't know what it's like to lose. They don't know what it's like to lose KVK or to lose certain things in the game. And the testament to great players and great accounts that have lasted a long time is that they've gotten their teeth kicked in sometimes. They've gotten beat and they got to come back. And that is just how the game operates, that all players have to taste losing. You got to experience that to be humbled and then come back stronger. And that's what makes the game so great, right?
That's so true, man. That's so true.
I mean, for you guys, are your most memorable KVKs the one that you won or the ones that you lost?
100%. They are the most fun KVKs to play. When you're losing KVKs, you get to dictate the fighting. You get to do everything that you want to do. Once you have that initial fear of losing and you're like, okay, and you've just resigned to the fact, guys, we're not going to win this KVK, but we're going all out. Then it becomes so much fun to play because you just got nothing to lose at that point. And all the memorable KVKs I have, all of them are when we're losing. We took a 1v3 at 2605. That was a 1v7 in Kingsland, and we lasted 3 days there, and it was just crazy. And so it's all part of it. When you're losing events like this, that's not very much fun. But in KVKs and different things like that, losing can be a lot of fun.
Yeah, winning, losing, it's part of it. For me, I agree with Chad. The one that you lose, it's always a little bit more action, a little bit more things happening in it. But winning or losing, I think it's like Chetsky would agree as well, and you, Brian. I think it's the KVKs that you have a lot of your teammates on the squad, there are lots of memories. These are the ones that stick with you. Win or lose is part of it. I really don't take too much note of the win or lose, but we gotta agree. The time you spend, the memories you build throughout these KVKs make them very, very special. This is how I see them. It makes it very special. Communities in general.
That's one of those things, I've played the game with Fluffy Pony for a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
He and I have been kind of joined at the hip in different kingdoms we've been in, and we've always been together. And he and I have been through the fights, and we have been through the losses. We have been through wars together, and he was the 2024 Fighter of the Year. And
yes, I remember.
And so this guy and I, there's kind of an unconditional bond you have with players like that, and groups that are in alliances or in kingdoms together. You've won and you've lost together, and you have those unconditional bonds to where no matter what happens, I'm still going to love you, and we're still going to move forward and enjoy playing the game. And that's what makes a lot of this stuff really, really special.
I mean, that's the tough part, right? Like when you're losing, it's very easy to become a little bit toxic or negative, or just be, a negative presence in voice chat or in-game chat or whatever it may be. It's very easy to do that. And when you can find some people where they're at their best when things are going bad, or at least, they're more impressive when things are going bad, that's a lot of times when you like realize what you have. That's when you discover your strength, is when it's like, oh my gosh, this is a situation where like 80% of players are going to react kind of badly to this spot, and yet the person next to me is actually reacting better than I ever could have hoped for.
And it's really tough. At Appa, we've been there too, because we all invest so much time, energy, effort, and money into the game that when you lose, it doesn't feel good. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's not like, yay, everybody go lose, and we're saying it's glorifying it and it's so much fun, but it tends to be the most memorable times when you lose and you're able to make it. You're basically able to make
turn
it
it around, make it a positive thing. You know,
Yes.
that's what's all about. I think. Hey, you gotta look at the positives and things. Yeah. This is difficult. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like, watching this. This is. I think lots of people semi excited, semi confused. But I'm not gonna lie. Like, if I ask you, did you expect this outcome today? Coming today to watch this? That's what I'll ask you.
I was sort of close to being
Wow.
to
Very
thinking
good,
this was the
Brian.
case. Just
Wait a
because
minute,
I
so BTA.
yeah, let's look
1473,
at this. We got to think about
they're-
BTA a little bit here. We haven't looked at them enough.
They're campmates with 2377 right now.
Oh, is that
And
right?
so you've got some 1473 guys that are campmates over there with 77.
Okay.
So that's a whole nother, that's a whole nother ancillary piece of information when it comes to this. So it's crazy. how
This is a
thing
tough.
working
This
out.
is this
is,
team
man.
has some players right here. Let me tell you, this BTA team, we probably slept on BTA a little bit. Look at their R4 list. They've got Save,
They
the
have
R5
Save.
of 1365,
Wow.
right? They've got players from 1473 here. Even in their rank 3, they've got people from 1900 like Devil Cabret. This is the leader of 1900 right here. And he's there as just a regular player. A bunch of players from 1900 here. A bunch of players from 1308. This is a stronger team than we realized. If you look at it, it's not even that many kingdoms. It's a 1473, 1900, 1365 type of team here, and a lot of Koreans. We say that it was a bad time for Vita being Korean, but there's a lot of Korean players on BTA, and they had no problem showing up for this.
Yeah. Nah, there's no excuses. Vita was carried from the last game. We know that Vita did not have a game. Vita really had the easiest round throughout, unfortunately. Not unfortunately, but in a way, they didn't get to fight. They just been here. But it's part of it, I think. But you're right. There is a lot of players that moved to BTA that definitely makes them very strong, and we did not take note of that. I agree with you.
Yeah.
You're in the chat right now. Throw a thumbs up on here. Like the stream. And, as things kind of wind down here, we got some more time. We're going to be on stream. So if you got questions, throw them in the chat. We can make this very interactive with everybody and have a good time with it. Keep it positive, guys. I mean, we get it. We know.
Yeah.
But we can really start interacting and start answering some questions if you guys have them.
I've got one question for you guys. And Chadsky, you're still in this event. You're playing in the finals next week. What do you think about the rewards for this event? Because they're largely cosmetic. There's a lot of cosmetic rewards for this event. Do you think the rewards are correct? Do you think they need to be improved? What do you think?
Yeah, so I had a call before they released this, and Apple, I think they might have talked to you about it too, separately, but I had a call with some of the developers, and they were talking about this particular event. We went through, Fluffy and I both got on a call with them, and we just went through, some pitfalls, some things to look out for, what they're trying to accomplish as a goal for this event, and it was really the thing they're trying to balance is how it becomes like a Kraken event, how it becomes a whale event. But they went through the rewards, and that was one of the things that they were very, very. They wanted to make it. They wanted to make it desirable to play. They wanted to make it worth it to play, but at the same time, they have to balance that because they can't go give autarchs for the winners of this thing. Because now all of a sudden, where the rewards start becoming KVK level rewards, people just won't play KVK. They'll just play this. And so from that standpoint, they were trying to do that and balance it. A lot of the cosmetics, a lot of people like. I'm not a big fan of cosmetics. Anybody that zooms into my city knows that it's pretty efficient in how I run things. And so but if you can do things gold heads wise, if you can do things with speed ups, if you can do things that help some of that phase 1 reward type stuff, but not dip into the autarchs and not dip into the city skins and things where players have to play an insane amount and keep the value of KVK where it is. They had to try to balance that, and I think they did okay. I think there's some things that they're going to take away from this. They're going to take away feedback from the community. They've really been doing well with that. Like, we can't fault Lilith for not listening to the community, because over the last really 18 months, 2 years, with all the quality of life game changes, with all the things they've done, they're listening to the community. And so I think they're going to get this right. Even though things aren't great with Strife, there are certain aspects that are really hard. You know, you're losing troops too fast. It's too quick. You can heal a flag. You can't even get a rally on it set without it healing immediately. And so there are little things here and there that I think they'll try to make better, and they'll probably listen to the community about.
I totally agree with you, Chad. And from my side of things was the Strife and rewards. Actually, funny enough, it would be very interested to hear it. But I was actually one of the people that about a couple of years I've been fighting for more events. I went to the developers. I asked them, especially, you know, we need to see more competitive events outside of KVK. So I'm not gonna lie, when this event come, I was like one of the most excited people about it. To see something we can take, you have to look. I look at a bigger picture. From my eyes, when I was thinking about that kind of event, I wanted something where we can take like a similar to EA Sport. When I was thinking about it, when I was drawing it in my head, you know, something that we can take where we can, you know, stream it for 4 hours, big teams compete, and it becomes like a big tournament, like a style EA Sport. That's, you know what I mean? And reward-wise, it is going the right way, but the only thing that a little bit tricky about it is that everything is not permanent. The only thing is permanent is the frame and the name tag. Everything else is cosmetic. But Chesky touched on a very good point, and I gotta agree with him. He said the developers were very careful not to mix, you know, KVK with the Strife, because I did hear, like I mentioned before in the stream, players wanted to play Strife over KVK. So this is, you see, so the developers were also careful on this part. But from my side of things, I think it's a pretty cool event because it brings us outside of this KVK, you know, all this 30 days or 40 days of hardcore up. It's just a weekend event. We all come together from different kingdoms and play, and I really believe this event is just a step forward in something way bigger in the future for Rise of Kingdom in competitive, you know, live streaming modes. This is how I see it.
You know, I was very excited when I heard about this event as well. I also felt like this was something they've needed for a while, is something that's in between KVK and ARC.
Exactly.
And you know, it is a very good differentiator from KVK, which is such a grind, and it's a money event, and it's a endurance event, and it's a resources event. This is something different. It's a way for a different type of player to show off their skill at Rise of Kingdoms. And so I was very excited about it as well. I do think that they maybe should think about reducing it from 4 hours to 3 hours. And then as far as the rewards, you know, you mentioned it, that most of the rewards are temporary. What I sort of thought, because I think first place gets something, they get like a title, which I think is just going to be something that pops up on your city, like a Duke title would pop up on your city. But what I was sort of thinking, what I almost expected when I saw the rewards for this event and seeing how like competitive and serious of an event it is, I thought the title would give you some sort of a temporary stat boost, a 30 or 60 day title that gives you, say, 3% attack, something like that. And, you know, you have to kind of use it right away, but all the players on your team get that 3% boost. And, you know, you think about...
So maybe like you're talking about like a temporary city skin you could use in a KVK. Maybe a 7-day or a 10-day city skin.
Except it's a title, but it's a title instead. Instead of a city skin, it's a title. You know, and then so like if you're a 489 or something here, and you're expecting to fight against 2377, you would love to get that title and have half your kingdom have that 3% attack boost. That you know, that your opponents in KVK don't have. It would sort of merge the significance of this event with the KVKs that are ongoing.
So Brian is saying like buff Wizen inside. So for example, 2489 today gonna fight 1960, and they won last season a special thing. They can use it in today's game as a buff. Is that What you mean? Like
Yes.
a buff within the actual tournament?
When you win this
very
event,
interesting. I like
it pops up,
Yeah.
but you can't save it. You have to just use it right away. Like as soon as you win Supreme Strife, it goes on your city for 30 days, 60 days. Maybe first place gets a 60-day skin, second place gets a 30-day skin, and it's just like a small extra title. You can still have the general title, but it's an extra title that you get for some period of time.
Yeah, because the first place wins city skin, but we yet to know what the attribute or anything about it.
I think they said it was cosmetic. I think when I look at the rules, it's kind of it sounds like it's a cosmetic castle skin. But you're right, we don't know the stats on it. I would imagine it has some sort of stats. Let's see if
just got cut out, by the way.
They just got cut off. There we go.
Yeah, officially. That's it. They eliminated 500,000 points.
And it looks like all their
teams.
What happens when their territory gets cut? Do their cities get teleported away?
Yeah.
Interesting.
One in the chat if you bet on BTA because you are gonna reap the benefits.
Chetsky, you want to know something? It's Pink. Pink did a lot better because everybody bet on BTA. We all made videos saying bet on BTA.
Yeah, man.
So I think
this is
what was the other team? One. Actually, the odds for one, for people who bet on one, they're actually going to get as big of rewards as for betting on BTA, because just so many people bet on BTA.
And 1960 as well.
Yeah.
1960 is very close. So everybody that bet on this round is going to make minimum double your coins, because the biggest bidder, guys, 500,000 coins going to be distributed. This is crazy. And actually, to be specific, when I looked at it, it's more than 500,000 coins. If you add 489 to it, because by the look of it, 489 sadly will also be eliminated, even though they occupied the structure from the start. Pink is on the way right now as we're talking to get one flag away from getting the middle structure. And we still have 1 hour and 45 minutes. Sadly,
well,
I can't believe this game.
They're going to have to get one to delete their flags. It looks like there's a... we were talking about the great coordination between these two sides, but they're a bit of a delay here as
but
maybe one grabs a drink or something. But yeah, this is the issue for 489. For those who are newer to this event, the issue is that even though right now 49 has a very slight lead on Pink, and even though 49's circle is not going to be threatened, more than likely for this event, what's going to happen is that Pink is going to be given some time holding this center structure. They're just going to be given it by their allies one, and at that point 49 is just in deep trouble. They just have no chance of keeping pace with Pink. And that's that's one of the big things about this map, is that if you win the map, you can really help all your allies advance by just holding this spire. I'm curious, do either of you guys know who this Ali X Mando player, the R5 of 1? Are we familiar with who this is?
I don't know. Mando was a player that I think I remember. If you're in the chat, help us out here.
Chat, help us out with this one.
They're in 2648, okay? And that's 2648. Is that OWR?
I think that is. That sounds right. OWR is 2648. I believe so. Yes. Okay.
So if you're in the chat, help us out. As far as this guy, where he's been and what he's done, he's leading this one team, and they've done a great job. Okay, 2638 is OWR. Okay, that's right.
Okay.
2638.
2648 is like a fairly big kingdom. I mean, it's like a name that I've heard before, but yeah.
But you got Abu over there, Matt Achilles.
I mean, he's outranking some very big names.
Broski's over there. And so they are crushing it right now. PPK, we've known him for a long time. And so, man, credit to these guys. They have done really, really well. They got a ton of power. And so, okay, Mando is X1093.
Maybe and it says for Discord contact, Olympus 1093. So maybe it's some sort of X1093, current 1093 type of situation here, leading things 4-1. And that's pretty cool,
sense,
right?
That's what we had heard. But it's really cool to see that kind of situation. Abu Hind has been one of the best kings in the game for such a long time.
Definitely.
With 875, right? And so to see him team up with 1093 in this kind of situation to where he actually has to go help lead with them, and some of the other players, obviously you've talked about, it's really kind of cool to see. I love it. So.
And it's also not like the leader from 1093 that we know. You know, it's not Silent Flow, it's not Nico. It's somebody different, you know, and you can see that those skills transfer over. Certainly one of the best ways to learn how to be a good war lead in this game is just play with a great war lead and see how they do things. And you can see that that's probably happened a bit here with whether it's Olympus or Mando who's running things today. They've run like a really good team for 3 straight weeks here from one, you know, kind of herding cats with people from many, many different kingdoms and dealing with some very, very big names as R4s. You know, credit to them for keeping it all together and doing very
Brian,
well.
Go ahead. You know, as people are just now joining the stream, if you're joining the stream, be sure to throw a thumbs up on it, like it. We're taking all the questions. Brian, do you want to kind of set the stage and like let everybody know who was allied and kind of give us a sum up of what happened and how it happened, what was surprising, and so everybody can kind of get caught up on what's happening. You got players in here saying, what happened to GV77? And so we can get a little summary of that.
Yeah, well, user 1995 in the chat does sum it up pretty well. GV77 goes home. We started the stream saying that the real storyline today was whether GV77 could advance or not. It felt like they were the underdogs. The community considered them the underdogs. They went into it allied with MTR next to them and 489 and Vita over here on the left side. It was these 4 packs against Pink, 1, BTA, and 60 GT. Essentially, GT is a 1 alliance pact, and then you've got 3 packs here, BTA, 1, and Pink, that are all pickup groups. These are all pickup groups with some very heavy hitters at R4 and in some cases at R5. We came into it, 489 grabbed their circle very quickly. GT side very comfortably grabbed the 2 circles on the bottom, and we saw a very long fight here at this circle, currently being held by Pink, the pickup team that all teleported right here in the corner, and they went right at GV77, the biggest team in this event, and Pink flagged faster than GV77. They held this circle. When you look at the pact kills, when you look at these stats here, GV77 is in first place by a long, long way, 15.3 billion. GT, 4 billion behind them in second. So GV77 hit very hard here, but 1 came up from the south. You can see that them in red, they flagged very aggressively towards this fight, and they made this a 1v2 the whole way against GV77. Ultimately, GV77 got worn out, and, you know, as much as they fought hard, they did not flag well at all. GV77 had very poor flagging today, and at this point, all their flags have been disconnected because even though you have unlimited flags in this event, they did not build any backup flags or any, you know, secondary connection to their main flag line at any point in the first 2 hours of this thing. And as that was happening, the south side just took this whole area. They took the spire. 489, they flagged well, but they were definitely overrun by GT and allies over here. And GT and their team, they are just taking all 4 of the spots to advance into the finals here. It's been a really good cast. Oppo was on point with the betting and the odds all the way through, and the whales on both teams. Chadsky, he's still in this event. He won earlier today with 1606. He's one of 4 teams to advance earlier from IN, OG, DS, and DK18. I mean, Chadsky, what do you think about this map, and what do you think about the potential allies and competition that you might have next week?
Well, what's fun, this map in particular, what we've learned here is that you have to mass build flags. You have to have a build team. You have to have multiple build teams. And when you place a flag, you need to place another flag next to it. That's back flag, if you will. You have unlimited flags. So I think what we saw when 77 really started hitting the merge with Pink, and then one came down from underneath and overlapped Pink and really helped them out. At the very beginning, 77 didn't have the teleport spots. And they were all kind of crammed in there. And we were all saying, why aren't they laying down more flags? Because it's definitely a microcosm. It's definitely condensed down. But we know what it's like in a KVK with a small Kingsland. And if you don't have territory, you don't have a chance. I just fought a Zone 5 a couple of weeks ago on my second account in 3473. All of our forts got burned and destroyed. And we had no territory, and we're just getting run in the field because we couldn't even get teleported where the fight was. And that's what was happening. And we were looking at it saying, GV has got to drop some flags. They got to get their big boys up here because they've only got like 12, cities up here right where the merge is. Meanwhile, Pink is flagging like crazy, and they've got 40 cities like within an easy walking distance. And so credit to GV77 because they're going to fight hard. And we thought at first like, hey, they're baiting these guys. They're going to outlast these guys. And what we found was that if they would have been able to get more territory, be more coordinated, flag faster. We saw at one point, I think 15 seconds from building a flag to waiting to drop the next flag. 15 seconds in this game mode with how fast flags go is death. I mean, it'll get you beat. And so you got to be on top of it. This is as much of a territory this is as much of a territory strategic game as it is a fighting game in this particular game mode in Strife. And so you got to be on it. You can't just say, as we say in football, roll your helmet out there and say, well, we're just going to win because we're better than you are. That's not how this game mode works. It's just not. And so you only have so many players. And so you got to be really, really good with that. And I think that set the tone right off the bat.
Couldn't agree more, man. Well said. Really, well said, Chad.
You ever heard that, Appo? Roll the helmet out there?
Yeah, man. I totally agree, bro.
Do they do that? They've got helmets in rugby, right?
In soccer or in rugby or in European soccer or European football, basically football outside of anywhere but America. You just roll the ball out there and we're going to win because we're better. Yeah, I got you.
Thank you, Chetsky. I hope all my American friends listening to how Chetsky mentioned football here. I love you, Chetsky.
There you go. There you go. Oh, man.
But I wanna mention something just because I am reading the chat. There is a lot of people like maybe not very, there is a lot of chat and things happening. I just want to remind you something, guys. When you come to do bets in this game mode, don't just bet for the sake of bidding and follow others. Take 2 minutes to have a look at the teams. Like I didn't want to talk about it at the beginning of the stream because I wanted to see how the game gonna play. But trust me, guys, before then we go live, I spoke to the one and only Brian and I told him, man, you need to see Pink. Pink look like it's 9.5 billion power. Everybody think they are small, but if you look closely to the power of all the pacts, they all around the same power if you remove the Krakens, which today proved that, you don't have to have the biggest, strongest team. If you have a good plan and you have a team that are going to follow this plan, you will win. And let me tell you, today changes everything for the final. 1606, I appreciate Chetsky was us today, but 1606 has a big, big, big race ahead next week. It's going to be so exciting. Chetsky, I'm going to tell you, not because you're here, I've said it on my stream. I believe that 1606 is one of the greatest team in this tournament. And I've seen that, not because you're here, I always see that on my stream.
You said that before you were here.
And I really think this guy, I really think, I really think next week is going to be so good. So good. And congratulations to 6TGT and their allies. Really, you humbled me here.
I think what's interesting, we have to wait and see, obviously, what the map looks like, right? And how
the allies.
Because the allies you can go one of two ways. It's a little bit binary, what we've seen in Strife, where you can either do your corner fights and everybody fights for their corner and then it's a free for all after that. We've seen that. Or you actually pick allies. And if you're going to pick allies all on the same side, we just watched that. And that was a kind of a cool dynamic. Or if you pick allies cross map. And so that the map's got to come out. We got to see how it plays, and it'll be really interesting. There's no way that they're going to set up the map, and maybe they do. Maybe they set up the map to where the allies are all on the same side, and these guys get to go at it again in the same dynamic, and then we'll have to go do that with the teams that we just fought with and won our semifinal with. So it's going to be really fun and interesting. I can't wait for it. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. It's just going to be a blast. And go run it down and see how long you can last. But that's what we saw. The one takeaway in this game mode is that anybody can beat anybody. It does not matter. And that's what makes it so much fun.
I totally agree, man. Well said.
Yeah, really interesting to see the GV77 whales be able to have an impact on this, but not take it over, right? Mr. Hope is going to end in 5th place overall in kills, but honestly outscored by Chisgul. Chisgul finished in 4th in kills. Makote, another big whale, finished 1st in kills overall. But at the end of the day, the people with a ton of power, if all their teammates lose their power quickly, then there's nothing left for those very big whales to do because they just don't have anybody with them at the end. And that's certainly going to be, that's going to be interesting as these teams that go to the finals think about who to recruit, because there are incredible recruits who could swing who the favorite is going into the finals. But I think one thing that's really good about this finals is that we have 8 very good teams advancing to the finals, right? The team on this map that we didn't hear too much about was BTA, but then we looked at their roster and we were like, oh, these guys are just as legit as the other 2 pickup teams that are advancing. Chatsky, in your match earlier, I assume you're going to agree with this. Everybody who advanced is very good. DK18, maybe the lesser known of the 4 teams, but they've played very well for several weeks in a row, and they worked to make it this far. So yeah, the matchup is going to be interesting next week. And we also have to consider that 1st place gets the best rewards, 2nd place gets the next best rewards. So it's not just about advancing 4.
Are you trying to prep a free-for-all? Is that what we're doing?
I'm just saying that this game mode is designed for drama.
Oh gosh, it is. And you're right. OG, obviously DS and DK18. DK18 was so impressive. And they were the ones that were showing that chin CY Garrison. Okay. I was just like, what are they running? True, man. You know how it is though, Apple. You're fighting and you go throw a rally on something. Of course, I'm running a rally and I'm like, why are they running this Garrison? And after about 30 seconds, I was like, oh my God, this Garrison is killing us. And so it becomes one of those situations where all the different moving parts. There are so many moving parts to this, whether it's strategy, whether it's territory, whether it's your field fighting, whether it's your combinations, your support skills, who you can run in Garrison. It is so much fun to actually go through this and play. So next week will be a lot of fun. It'll be so much fun.
I'm really excited. Yeah, it is going to be fun. But again, Pink, you have showed and proved to everybody that power is not everything in this game mode. I can see the one and only Grey Worm in the chat. Boom, boom, and congratulations, sir.
If Grey Worm's at the meetup, yes, if somebody's at the meet, Grey Worm's at the meetup, he just needs to get with everybody. They put him on his shoulders, and he just kind of gives the, yes, I celebrate everything. Give me a photo of that. Let's put it on the stream and see our boy Grey Worm. That is awesome, bro. Good for you.
Nah, congratulations. Really amazing. And it's very, very nice. This is my first time ever get to collab with Chesky and Brian. It's really special. I really think it was very, very nice. I enjoyed it very, very much.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun casting with you guys. You guys are both true professionals who know exactly what you're doing. Good to know that Grey Worm is in the chat, because it sounds like he therefore feels very good about everything that's happening in the game. There is still a question about whether one is going to delete flags and let Pink connect to the Spire, but we're just going to assume that happens rather than just stay online watching, waiting for that to occur.
Yes. Yeah, that would be an abomination. That would be something. Appa would be streaming immediately. Like, what just happened? I can't believe it. These guys worked so hard.
Chadsky, I think Chadsky has to go and fight in Kingsland. I'm going to go sit on the couch. I'm going to sit on the couch and watch college football. But Apo, just keep an eye on the map, and you have the ability to spectate it. So if there's some, horrible betrayal that occurs in the next 90 minutes, it's all you, buddy.
None of worse.
Yeah, but I think with that, we
That's all
are
good.
going to wrap up this stream. Do throw a like
Thank
on the
you so
way
much.
out. And, listen, guys, myself, Apocalypse Gaming, War Daddy Chadsky, we are all content creators in the Rise of Kingdoms community. Chadsky and Oppo are two of the most active live streamers out there. So if you do enjoy our content, be sure to subscribe to our channels and, keep supporting us in the future. But yeah, Chadsky and Oppo, it was great to cast with you guys today. And we will see you all tomorrow on the official channel. We have the Grand Prix at 14 UTC. But until then, peace out.
Boom, boom.